Now the snap to Fernando. Looks, has time, throws it deep to the end zone. He's got Becker. Touchdown! What a catch by Charlie Becker again. 31-yard play, and Indiana has the first score of the ball game. Second and goal at the 5. Wide to the near side. This is Cooper. He comes in motion a bit. Here's the snap back to Fernando. He looks, throws it to the end zone. Touchdown! Touchdown, Indiana, and it's Omar Cooper who makes the grab, and there was nobody around him.
Jeremiah Love with a spin. Here he goes. Jeremiah Love. A 56-yard touchdown run with a spin move. Davis Mills, end zone throw, touchdown, Texans, Nico Collins.
Fake the pitch to the end zone, Tim Patrick. And the Jacksonville Jaguars starting to flick.
Santos puts it up, and it is good! The comeback kid, Chicago Bears, do it again.
He's already made 4 today. Lutz in the clutch, and the Broncos have won it.
That is Andrews under center on 4th and 1. Andrews spinning away, and there he goes. Andrews all the way. Touchdown. What a call by the Ravens.
And a good Monday morning to you. Mark Dykton, as always, on the opening montage here. Nothing says Colts bye week like a montage that includes Davis Mills, Tim Patrick, and Cairo Santos. Mark, are the Bears good?
I don't know. They've sure given me heart palpitations the last 4 weeks.
They're one game behind the Colts.
I know. And
that to me is wild.
It's wild to me too, because I'm sitting there and I'm MFing them weekly, and I'm like, what are we doing here? And they still find ways to win. So Ashley's like, did they win or not? Because I can't tell by your mood. I'm like, they won. I don't know how, though.
This is how I know Mark is a part of the Boyd family, because I went home, visited my family in Chicago. My uncle and my cousin in particular, those two, father and son, are diehard Bears fans, and they react to everything. It is like theater class. They get up, they run around, they scream, they yell. If it were up to them, everyone would be cut or fired before the end of the game. They wouldn't have a team. But, yeah, at the end of it, my uncle sat there, and he was so mad at the way that they won, because he doesn't think it's sustainable, but at the same time, they're 7-3. I mean, we're talking about the Colts turnaround. The Bears have stunk for years, so this is honestly kind of funny to see them at this spot.
It was just one of those things where it's like you saw the lead, and you're like, they're not going to keep this lead. And sure enough, they didn't. And then you're like, oh, there's the go-ahead touchdown. There's less than a minute left. I'm like, they're going to find a way to win this game, and I'm still going to be upset because I'm like, why? How did you make this a game? Because J.J. McCarthy stunk to high heaven for 3.5 quarters, and then they ended up pulling it out anyways. It's like, oh, my God, how are they good? I don't even understand what's going on here. And then I'm like, are the Broncos good? Because I said, on Friday they need to knock off the Chiefs, and then boom, there they go. So I'm like, well, the Broncos, are they legit now? I have no idea.
Well, that defense is major legit. I can assure you
that's true
of that. A good Monday morning again to you. I'm Kevin Bowe and James Boyd and Mark Dykton alongside. Hopefully Jeff will be back with us tomorrow. Joe Wrights, he's going to join us at 7:30. Colts radio analyst. Heard him on the call over there in Berlin alongside Matt Taylor. So the always energetic Joe Wrights will join us here out of the gate. And Tony East coming up at 9. We'll have a lot of football conversation on the plate today, but once again, that opening montage includes how many Pacers highlights?
Zero. Probably for good reason.
For very, well, I guess, good reason, but also disappointing reason, as they continue to be the worst team, I guess, record-wise, in the entire NBA. It's best versus worst tonight.
Oh, you don't have to put any qualifiers in there. Worst team in the league.
Yeah, Wizards, right? Aren't they also a one-win team? I think?
But...
So the Pacers will play the Pistons tonight up there in Detroit, and it is kind of wild to say it's the best team in the East, Detroit, against the worst team record-wise in the Indiana Pacers, and how quickly it can change. We'll see if Benedict Mathurin plays. He has been upgraded to questionable. We have not seen him since night number 2 in the NBA season, so maybe a glimmer of something to watch for tonight as the Pacers and Pistons get together there. Detroit has a back-to-back, so we'll see exactly how they handle it, as crazy as it sounds, it would make sense for quality NBA teams to rest guys against the Indiana Pacers right now.
That would be the case, but I feel like the Pistons are pretty young. So are you going to rest anybody? All their team, I feel like, is a bunch of 24-year-olds.
Yeah, they've got a bunch of dudes listed as questionable. And anytime I see that on the first night of a back-to-back, I'm always kind of like, which again is such a slap in the face of the Pacers.
Yeah.
Like if they do indeed rest a Cade Cunningham or Jalen Duren or Thompson brother, like it's like against the Pacers. When it's the Hawks tomorrow night, usually it's the reverse. You're going to play your guys against the Pacers. So we'll definitely hit on that today. Bye week home for you, James Boyd. So you just said earlier?
Yep. Got to go see the family in Romeoville/Chicago. So that was good. My mom was excited. I wore the candy stripe pants.
Ooh.
Out, and she hated it the entire time. She was like, I can't believe you're going to embarrass me like this.
So that was out in public?
It was out in public. I told her these need to be worn.
Celebrate
I paid good money
big
for them.
second half against Wisconsin?
I told her, hey, we're part of the family now. You got to get on board. Your son lives in Indiana. You have to accept this. And so she did not accept it. She was very much against it, but I wore them anyway, and I had a good time seeing the family.
Maddie had to take a look at the TV last night watching Indiana, and she goes, what is that school's name that they're playing there? Incarnate Ward.
Yeah.
Had it down to 5 points with 90 seconds to go. I thought, oh boy, Darren DeVries, is this really going to turn very quickly here? But Indiana on the night, they shoot it horrifically. They, I guess, survive against Incarnate Ward last night. Purdue all over an Akron team that I think actually some people believe can win a game in the tournament. So a little college basketball recap from the weekend. Boy, we talked about it on Friday's show. I thought it was a great Week 11 slate. I thought it was a great slate for your team to be on a bye. Bucks-Bills was outstanding in the 1 o'clock window, back and forth galore. Mark showed, I would say, one of the highlights of the weekend, or I should say played one of the highlights of the weekend there. The Mark Andrews fake tush push.
Oh, that was awesome. That was awesome.
Excellent from Todd Monken and company there on that play call. And I think we have finally discovered the water cooler stat that could stump anybody now moving forward. We all work with that stat guru. For us, it's Scotty. He's got all the stats.
Yes.
And he's ready to stump people. The fact that the NFL record holder for most completions in a game is now Jacoby Brissett. That is the ultimate stat. I mean, that is a great brain buster to anybody that you're working with today on this Monday morning.
Yeah. That'll be and I do this, I'm sure you all do this, you just throw out random stuff years from now with your friends or your buddies, and you're going, hey, remember when that one person did this? And hey, do you remember for a long time there, that stat for me was Donyell Marshall tying Kobe for the most three-pointers made in an NBA game with 12. I think the record now is Klay Thompson with 14. But just the randomness of it. 47.
I had no idea that Donyell Marshall had done that.
Yes. See, again, those are the types of things. But Jacoby Brissett, 47 completions. I want to say he only had maybe 10, or it wasn't that many incompletions either. It was like 47 of 57 or something. It might be more than that.
I get there's an element of yes, they throw the ball a little bit more in today's NFL, but still, I mean, I would guess 1,000 other quarterbacks before I would get to Jacoby Brissett. The Colts, I don't really think got much help at all yesterday.
No,
I think it was a bad bye week for them.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to look at it, Mark, again, playing highlights of Davis Mills and Tim Patrick, the Texans escape the Tennessee Titans there with their backup quarterback. And the Jags, that was thoroughly impressive. The most impressive team of the weekend might have been Jacksonville, what they did there to the Chargers. So as the Colts wake up here and return to work later today, they will get ready for the Kansas City Chiefs this weekend, but they will do so. They have dropped to the 3 seed. Now, the reason for that is just because largely Denver and New England have played more games than the Colts. Their bye weeks will cycle through here in the next couple weeks. But AFC South-wise, I cannot recall, and maybe I should look this up, what do you think the last time we've reached 10 games into the season, we have 3 AFC South teams at 500 or better?
That's a great question. That's a Scotty question.
Here are the Texans at 500.
Which seems like a miracle for them because they've dealt with so many injuries, particularly with their quarterback,
right.
CJ Stroud.
And they play on a short week this week. Then the Colts get them the next week, so we'll see about Stroud's availability. And then Jacksonville, again, I still don't believe in Jacksonville, but I guess I kind of glance at the standings and think to myself, the Colts have easily been the class of the AFC South this year. But the fact that they have yet to play Jacksonville and they've yet to play Houston is just one of those reminders of they still have to take care of their own business against those two teams.
This is very true.
Because they have built 8-2. And again, the overall quality certainly looks better than Jacksonville and Houston. They're just kind of there. They're not really going away. they're the mosquitoes still sticking around somehow here in the month of October or November.
I would agree there. And I think this second half of the season, we all kind of look at it like your real tests are coming. And that's not to discredit what the Colts have done. They've earned their 8-2 record. But, yeah, I think it gets a little stiffer when it comes to the Chiefs. And I get that the Chiefs' record isn't where it usually is. But, boy, they're going to play with some desperation come next Sunday. Because if they don't win that game, boy, do we have to think about the Chiefs being in the playoffs? Those types of conversations start up. And then, obviously, Seattle. And like you said, the division matchup still waiting.
I always walk into our building with one of the maintenance workers next door, as seemingly him and I are off the parking garage at the same time, like 3 of the 5 days of the week. So he says to me today, he goes, "Who the Colts got this week?" I was like, they got the Chiefs. His response, "They stink." I mean, 2025, and people say the Chiefs stink.
I know. This feels like you have a chance
what a
to
time.
like slay
Mark
the
is
dragon.
playing opening montages with no Pacers highlights, with Tim Patrick and Davis Mills and Cairo Santos highlights, and people are saying the Chiefs stink. Now, I don't think they stink, but
you got a chance to slay the dragon.
Man.
Put them on life support.
And that's what Jeff alluded to this late last week. It was kind of this debate we got into. Who would you rather win, Denver or Kansas City? And if you're going for the 1 seed, you would have rather Kansas City won yesterday. Knock Denver down.
But since they didn't help you, you got to go to Kansas City and let them know, all right, I didn't appreciate that.
But now there is the thought of you just help, nail in the coffin.
I'm ready for it. I think this is a big test.
Have you seen the opening line?
I have not actually.
The last I saw was before we got out of here on Friday. It was 4.5 for the
3.5.
Chiefs.
The Kansas City Chiefs favored by 3.5 over the Colts. It'll be Nance and Romo. It'll be 1 o'clock on Sunday. Again, the Colts will get back to work today.
No flexing for everyone out there. Keep asking. Ain't about to ruin my weekend.
Nope. No flexing for this one.
1 p.m. as God intended.
What the Shane Steichen updates are. A little bit later in the show, we'll play some Chris Ballard audio. He did touch on the Sauce Gardner trade, and I thought Pascal Siakam wore the veteran leadership hat very well on Saturday night after that pathetic loss to the Raptors, and we will hit on that as well. Joe Wrights, 7:30, Tony East at 9. It is the Fan Morning Show here on a Monday. Kevin Bowen and James Boyd and Mark Dykton right here, 93.5, 107.5, The Fan. All right, let's start with a look around the NFL here in Week 11. Colts entered the week top the AFC, and now they wake up today. They're in third. That's because we saw New England win Thursday night, and Denver, they beat Kansas City yesterday. Will Lutz, 5 field goals. Patrick Mahomes, a critical red zone interception. James Boyd, your takeaways from the opponent the Colts will see upcoming on Sunday, the now 5-5 Kansas City Chiefs.
Patrick Mahomes is washed. He's washed up. He's no longer a superstar, MVP caliber player, none of those things. But no, in seriousness, I think that this is a vulnerable Chiefs team and one that will be very desperate. And you have a chance to, like I said a few minutes ago on the show, you have a chance to slay the dragon. I do think that they're going to come out there and still kind of be formidable. But if there was ever a time to get one off on them with this new regime that you have in place here in Indianapolis, Sunday is that time.
I think the Patrick Mahomes experience is over. Gardner Minshew needs to be starting from here on out.
So that was one of the 5 games yesterday that saw a winning play occur on the final play of the game.
Which is crazy, by the way.
Tied for the most in a single day in NFL history. That included Mark's Bears. Cairo Santos, good from 49. They are now 7-3 on the season. And in true sick Mark Dykton fashion, his happiest moment yesterday was seeing Aaron Rodgers get hurt.
No, I think it's quite convenient that my wrist hurts, and he's going to miss the Bears game probably. Quite convenient, Aaron.
It's a fracture.
Get out
He's
there.
got a fractured wrist. He's 40 with the fractured wrist.
Put a sling on it and get out there, the old man.
It's not his throwing wrist. That's what Mark is saying.
Exactly. Get out there.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
Take some ayahuasca, go in a cave, get healed up mentally, and get out there.
I will say this is true hate because a true hater doesn't want the opponent to get hurt. They just want to be out there. They want him to stink.
I want the Bears to do to him what they did to Brett Favre, where they just laid him out like, all right, old man, out to pasture with you.
Hey, sounds like Aaron Rodgers medical, might be a little bit DeForest Buckner medical-wise.
Yeah, we'll see.
Something we can get into a little
Get
bit
out
later
there, Aaron.
With DeForest Buckner.
Don't take this from me.
And his
get out
neck
there.
situation. Get the Colts back to work today. Off to Kansas City. It will be 1 o'clock on Sunday, Colts and Chiefs. All right, tonight up in Detroit, it is the Pacers as an 8.5-point underdog. They are 1-12 on the season. The Detroit Pistons are the best team in the Eastern Conference, and we will see if this is the return for Benedict Mathurin. He has been upgraded to questionable. I think Rick Carlisle said over the weekend he had progressed to doing some simulation 5-on-5 stuff, so we'll see if Mathurin gets back. The Aaron Nesmith timeline has been defined around 4 weeks for his absence here. And James, Saturday night looked very reminiscent of what happened out west. The Pacers build a little bit of an early lead. Thank you to Andrew Nembhard. Thank you to Pascal Siakam. And as 48 minutes rolls along, the Pacers get exposed.
The second half collapses are alarming, and I think you jumped on this train pretty early, Kevin, where you're getting guys back. You're getting healthier, and it's getting worse. And I just had this conversation with Tony East last night on Locked On Pacers. We'll have him on the show here at 9 a.m. to discuss it further. But, yeah, I'm not feeling the same fire, fight, tenacity from this group that you expect. I think that in its human nature, they've kind of realized, we're not playing for anything meaningful anymore. And that was just 5-6 months ago. We were playing for everything. And so, in my opinion, how do you find other ways to motivate your group or go out there and try to play together and keep yourself within striking distance where you don't get embarrassed every night, even though at this point in the year, everything that you had hoped to kind of gain from a record standpoint is not there anymore. In my opinion, this team will not be above 500 for the rest of the year. Wow, I'm going out on a limb there. 1-12. You're not going to be in a playoff series. You're not playing for anything beyond just trying to figure out, okay, how does our team perhaps look? How do we develop some pieces for when Tyrese Halliburton returns?
Some pretty profound words, I thought, from Pascal Siakam over the weekend. We'll get to that here in a little bit. Checking in on the college ranks from this weekend down there in Bloomington. I guess Indiana kind of played with its food for the first half, and then 31-7 over the Wisconsin Badgers. So they now hit, which I think is kind of a much-needed bye week for the Hoosiers. A little banged up as well.
Yeah, my boy Fernando Mendoza had a couple bruises on his face, man. It looked like he was a boxer after that game.
Sacked, I think, 5 times for him, but he continues to pad a Heisman resume. Am I biased to say that the best college football player resides up there in South Bend, though, not in Bloomington?
Yes, you are biased, but continue.
Best player in college football is Jeremiah Love.
No love for any other quarterbacks?
No, quarterbacks. We have so much bias towards quarterbacks. It's like the best NFL player is who?
JT, in my opinion, right now.
It's
Jonathan
Myles
Taylor.
Garrett. Myles Garrett is the best player in the NFL.
Okay, that's fair.
The best player in college football is Jeremiah Love. Just because
he ain't winning the Heisman.
Right, because every other series they're putting in Jadarian Price because they're
No,
trying
don't
to
be
save
hating.
his
No.
legs.
We're keeping him fresh.
For the playoffs.
Keeping
here.
him fresh. I did like that spin move, though. That was cold-blooded.
That spin move was nasty, to say the least. Speaking of nasty in the negative light, that was Purdue football out there in Washington. They get blitzed by the Huskies there. They are on a bye week. Can you imagine the Purdue football players? They're like, wait, we have to do a bye week and then come back and play Thanksgiving weekend? They're like, what the hell? Screw that. Can't we just throw in the towel and call it an 11-game season? We don't want to play.
Hold on, Kevin. We got some other love for the other Jeremiah Smith.
Yeah, he can play as well. He can play a little bit as well.
What a downplay.
Yeah.
The kid who has been probably the best receiver in the sport for 2 years, and you're saying, oh, he can play a little bit. He can be a top 5 pick.
You got to have a little stats. Jeremiah Smith, not at quite that level. So I got banged up against UCLA. College basketball, it was Purdue all over Akron last night. They had 5 players reach at least 14 points. I saw that was the first time Purdue has done that in at least 2 decades. Win number 500 for Matt Painter.
Wow.
475 of them coming at Purdue, or Southern Illinois. His first stop in Indiana. They, I guess, survive is the right word. Incarnate Ward, 69-61.
Nice.
Any guesses? Incarnate Ward, where it is on a map?
I believe this is in Texas, if I'm not mistaken. And I think I only know this because we had a couple kids that might have committed there when I was covering high school sports.
I know it is Texas because I drove past the exit ramp to
I
go to it.
didn't get that close.
San Antonio.
San Antonio.
Yes.
Yeah.
Indiana 5 of 24 from 3. So a team that has looked to have been a pretty good 3-point shooting team has a awful night from behind the arc.
Can you
there.
win without your best stuff? They
Well,
did.
Against Incarnate Ward, I think they were able to
I will
get
say, Kevin,
that done.
that was one of the few schools, actually many schools, I had to Google. When a kid committed, I was like, is this Division I? I have no idea. So it's probably a Google search somewhere in this laptop of it. Is Incarnate Ward
And like
a Division I
in
program?
like a summer day or something, we need to go through like places where like you've heard of universities and you're like, that's in one state and you're completely wrong. Like I used to think Gonzaga was in Arizona.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I think
I was way
feel,
off.
People feel that way about like Purdue and Notre Dame, like nationally.
Mm-hmm.
If you like asked people like, "Hey, where is Purdue and Purdue and Notre Dame?" I don't think you would get like a consensus. Oh yeah, that's in Indiana.
Yeah. Yeah, and we got to go through a list of just like schools like, where do you think this is? And then where it actually is.
DePaul, the Monon Bell is going to reside in Greencastle once again. 41-20 all over Wabash. That's 4 in a row now for the Tigers in that illustrious series. They do qualify. Shout out to Brett Dietz and company for the D3 playoffs. So in a couple weeks, they'll take on Wisconsin Whitewater in that one. All right.
Miles McLaughlin, real quick.
Yes, Miles McLaughlin, another million records. We'll get to that a little bit later in the show, but he continues to inch closer to Derrick Henry as Knox moves on to the semi-state round here in the 3A state playoffs. All right, coming up next, Joe Wrights. Talk a little Colts here as they return from their bye week. All right, about to chat with Colts radio analyst Joe Wrights, who was on the call. Colts and Falcons over there in Berlin. You've heard him a lot, especially in the road games this year, alongside Matt Taylor. Colts will get back to work today. Shane Steichen, a Zoom chat a little bit later. James on the agenda there. I assume some injury updates for Travaris Ward and maybe DeForest Buckner, and I guess Anthony Richardson, as crazy as that sounds.
Yes, I was going to throw Anthony Richardson in there for sure. So Ward and Richardson can both technically come off of injured reserve this week. Ward is obviously the bigger one in that group. And then for DeForest Buckner, he can't return until at the very least week 15 at Seattle. But as we saw DeForest posted about, he went to Panama to get some things done on his neck. We can talk about that a little bit later. Right now, we can transition into more pressing things with our latest guest.
Much more on that, yes, in a few. But let's head to the Payless Liquors hotline. He shot me this text. If I have my date right here, Joe Wrights, I'm looking at my text right now. On September 3rd, Joe writes here to me, Colts race out to a 5-1 start with 4 home games. Talk of the NFL. You heard it here first. From Joe Wright's words to actions on Sunday afternoon.
To God's ears.
Unbelievable. Joe Wrights, what did you know then that we have seen now?
Well, that was the Wednesday of week 1, and Kevin, I was feeling bullish about the Colts, primarily because of Daniel Jones. And I just felt like the way he was going to come in and take command of this offense. And then I think really the perfect marriage with Shane Steichen. I mean, Shane is an elite play caller, and now that he's got a quarterback in there that, just has the experience that Jones has and all the stuff that Daniel's doing pre-snap, changing the play, changing the protection, and then post-snap in terms of getting to his second, third, fourth progressions. I mean, you've seen the offensive efficiency in the Colts. They're leading the NFL in scoring. And so I had a good feeling about our Colts and glad that came to fruition. And, you're sitting here coming off the bye at 8-2. You were in first place. Now you're a half game back, Denver and New England with their wins. But you've put yourself now in mid-November in prime position to make a really good run the rest of the regular season and, most importantly, get into January. So it is definitively an exciting time for Colts fans in Indianapolis.
Joe, as a former offensive lineman, what is it like to see your buddies or your new buddies now, the new regime, block for a guy like Jonathan Taylor when you know he can go to the house on any given play?
Oh, I mean, he's unbelievable. I mean, I think he's the MVP of the NFL. And what Taylor – he's always been a progressive runner. And what I mean by that, he gets better as the game goes on with his 20th carry, his 25th carry in the third and the fourth quarter. And you've seen that's kind of been the program, right? Throw early to score, spread them out, get a 1-2 score lead. You pound them in the second half, and all of a sudden that defense gets a little bit tired. Their run fits get a little bit off. And that 5, 6, 7-yard run in the first half becomes the 50, 60, 70, and nothing was better punctuated than that 83-yard run in Berlin to win the game. And then the way they moved the ball down in overtime. When Atlanta knew we were running it, everybody in Olympic Stadium knew they were running it, and the millions watching knew they were running it, and they couldn't stop it. To be able to lean on that running game, especially when you get into playoff football and you don't know what the conditions are going to be, we would always say, when you get into January, you got to pack your defense, you got to pack your running game, and the Colts definitively have that going for them. So that's awful exciting.
Joe, one quick follow-up to that run in Berlin. After the game, JT walks in, still fully clothed from the game, trying to get out of there really quickly and get back to the States. But one of the questions he was asked was, what happened on that run for the record breaker and taking the lead over Edgerrin James, for the franchise leader in rushing touchdowns? And he's not arrogant, but he casually said, "What do you mean?" And all of us were like, what do you mean? You just put off a run where you ran into a wall and then you went around it for, the longest touchdown in the franchise's history from a running standpoint. So that to me was kind of funny to kind of underscore how differently we view him versus how he views himself, because to him, it's another day in the office. And it's just fascinating that guy, knowing the franchise here and the players who have played here, the running backs who have played here, and he might be the best who among that group, which is fascinating.
Yeah, and he is great, and he expects greatness. And what I thought really cool is, Edgerrin James was over there in Berlin and, just spreading all the Colts love. And it was awesome to be there with, all the fans from Germany and Austria and Switzerland and all around. And they were all excited, and they love the Colts. And now with 2 wins in the last 3 years over there in Germany, you can see that country. There's a ton of Colts fans there, but I thought it was neat, kind of that passing the torch that Edgerrin was there, and I know that, he is a good mentor for JT, and so I thought that was really, really neat.
Did you do some beer drinking or some beer pouring over there, or both?
Well, we were beer pouring. The Colts were Dallas, Edgerrin, and myself. We were in a bar, and the Colts said, "Hey, the next 30 minutes, beer's on us." So we were pouring beers. But KB, I was getting into trouble because I kind of my first time behind a tap on the other side, right, pouring the beer, and I kept getting too much foam in it. And this big German guy behind me that would have taken me and tossed me to the side, he kept going, no, 9. And he was just, he kept re-showing me how to pour the beer to get the perfect pour. They know what they're doing over there in Deutschland.
Some struggles in the Stein atmosphere there for Joe Wrights. He's with us here on the Payless Liquors hotline. We had a listener reach out to us, Joe, and by the way, we had another one say, hey, please pass along compliments to Joe and his radio analyst work. The rhythm between him and Matt Taylor is really good, and I love his insight. Another one wanted to reference this reaction to the Jonathan Taylor touchdown. Mark, could you play this?
There's the record breaker for Jonathan Taylor, and it puts the Colts on top, 22-17, and that's an all-time record.
Now, the woo-hoo, someone's asking here if that is a reference to Homer Simpson. Was that just purely Joe Wrights, or was that a little Homer in you?
Yeah, I'm not a big Simpsons guy, so that was just me. When moments like that, defining moments, and you're on the radio, Matt is so good, and you don't want to speak over Matt and let him do his thing. But also, I felt like in the moment, there needed to be some sort of reaction. So that was the first one that came to me. But, boy, that was awful exciting, and it was fun to be over there and call that game with Matt. And you look at now, I'll be in Kansas City coming up on Sunday. That's the game of the week. And I think what's most exciting to me, fellas, is that the Colts are going to be – they put themselves in where these last 7 games, there's going to be several, quote, games of the week where the whole NFL is going to be watching them. And it's fun to see us back in the mix. It's fun to see us have the team that is very capable of going on a deep playoff run in January. And it's going to be a tremendous test Sunday because – Kansas City, they're not down and out, but they're down. And if there ever was a must-win game for the Chiefs, it's going to be Sunday at 1 o'clock in Arrowhead. And the Colts are going to get their very best, which I think is great because it's going to be, they're the champs. And they played in, 7 straight AFC championship games. And you got to go to their stadium. So, man, what a tremendous opportunity. And for the Colts, it's awful exciting that you get to go out there and, again, they've struggled a little bit, but they're still the standard in the AFC, and you're going to play them in a game that they're very desperate for. So you're going to get their best shot. The Colts are going to give them their best shot, and it's going to be a fun one coming up here in 6 days.
If I remember correctly, the Chiefs were pretty bad when you guys went to Arrowhead back when you were playing. Could I get the top maybe 3 road environments Joe Wrights played in his NFL career?
Yeah, the Chiefs were bad, but that's an awesome stadium. You pull up, it's got such a collegiate atmosphere. Everybody's tailgating. The whole thing smells like barbecue. I always was a big fan of outdoor stadiums with real grass because to me that just felt like football. So I would say my top 3 were probably Kansas City, Denver, which is the same, and then even though we had no success there when I played, and it's continued on this year, but Pittsburgh. Those were my 3 favorite stadiums to play in, because you always had just an awesome environment. And, Kansas City and Denver we had some success in, but not Pittsburgh. But, it'll be a fun one coming up on Sunday. And I think for the Colts, again, everything to me is about it's the next game and what's most important. But the previous 10, you've put yourself in a position to contend for the top spot in the AFC, and that's really all you can ask for. Now it's about continuing to get better these next 7 games. And I'd be remiss if I didn't comment on the trade for Sauce Gardner. I know you guys have talked about a bunch on your show, but just watching him in person, seeing his length, seeing his size and athleticism, you get a healthy Ward back in the secondary with Gardner, Kenny Moore, who's an elite nickel, and Bynum and Cross. And I really think, you have a very good argument that you have the best secondary unit now in the NFL. And when you go and play in these games against some of these good quarterbacks and a lot of good receivers, now you have second and third and fourth options when you can cover guys. And I just think that's really, really important for the Colts coming down the stretch there. I'm excited to watch that secondary Sunday kind of all playing together healthy for the first time and seeing what they can do on the back end.
Kind of on that point, Joe, and last one, and we certainly appreciate your time on this Monday morning. The Ward addition with Sauce, obviously, comparing that to the DeForest Buckner subtraction for however long it's going to be. How do you kind of view that right now, which you've theoretically upgraded significantly in the secondary, but at the same time you potentially have lost your best defensive player for at least a month?
Yeah, and that's a tough loss. I mean, he's out at least 3 more weeks, and you saw, some of the success Atlanta had running the football against Buckner, and he's so good not only in the run game and the pass game and just his leadership. So, I always say that the pass rush and the secondary work hand in hand, right? If you can cover well on the back end, that gives more time for those pass rushers to get there, and the more you can heat them up early on, then you're able to get the quarterback to force the ball out of his hand quickly. So that's going to be a big loss for Buckner, but you need guys to step up. I think Adebawore has done well in there. I think, JT Tuimoloau, I think he's shown some flashes now, getting some playing time, especially as a pass rusher on the interior, rushing on those guards in the center, maybe on third down. And so excited to watch some of those young guys blossom, and we're going to need that development because obviously that's a big loss without Buckner in there solidifying the middle.
This from George. 2 of my boys are in a lacrosse tournament at Grand Park. We kept popping into Matt and Joe on the call in Germany. Great insight. As my 4th graders said, it was almost like we're watching it on TV. I would say that is quite the compliment. Speaking of 4th grade, Joe, is there a Our Lady Mount Carmel undefeated season that just wrapped up? I'd be remiss if I didn't give a little shout-out to Raider Nation.
Yeah, well, thank you. Yeah, the Raiders got it done. We had a tough championship game, but we got it done. So, 4 straight city championships for the boys. So it was a lot of fun. And now we can dial in 100% on the Colts here these last couple months. But it's fun. You can feel the buzz, Kevin, in Indianapolis on Mondays, and people are walking around and they're talking about the Colts. And, you and I both know well. I mean, we were both working for the organization. The last time we hosted a playoff game was 2015, which is kind of crazy to think about. But so it's fun to kind of envision that for the future. We got a long way to go, and there's 7 more games to play, but it's setting up to be a fun January here with Colts football in Indianapolis. And I know Colts Nation, we are hungry for some playoff wins. So let's go out and let's get it done.
The starting right tackle in that last home playoff game was indeed Joe Wrights. A little different off Oak Ridge Road in 146th. He is the great Joe Wrights. He's with us here, and he'll be on the call coming up Sunday at Arrowhead. Joe, as always, sir, thank you.
All right. Thanks, fellas. Have a great Monday afternoon.
Joe Wrights right there on the Payless Liquors hotline. I want to get into that maybe a little bit later, James. How do you weigh return of Mooney Ward, arrival of Sauce Gardner, of course, versus subtraction of DeForest Buckner? Like, is it even? Is it more significant one way or the other? How is that kind of viewed right now? Because, again, there is a chance that Javarius Ward will indeed make his return here coming up on Sunday at Kansas City.
Which I'm sure everyone is hoping for. Like I mentioned last week, Mooney Ward did make the trip over to Berlin. I don't think you make that trip and fly 8-9 hours at high, distance in the sky. Excuse me if I don't know the term. If you have a concussion and you're still feeling the symptoms of it. So he seems like he's champing at the bit to get back out there, and I'm sure they're going to welcome him back whenever that is the case. And that'll be a question we ask Shane Steichen later today. Will that window be open for him to return this week? But yeah, I'm not stating anything that's not obvious here, but replacing DeForest Buckner is darn near impossible. But for the time being, you have to figure out what are your options. And I will say to Joe's point, Adetomo Adebawore, I think, has looked a lot better than I expected him to be, honestly. Even being undersized, he's a dude who plays with some force, some grittiness, and makes some plays. But we all know that Buck, he is the backbone of that D-line. And the D-line has not been strong enough, in my opinion, even with him. So without him, how do you try to generate some more pressure? And does that kind of go hand in hand with getting one of your top cornerbacks back?
Just to update everybody standings-wise, the Colts entered this week as the 1 seed with New England winning on Thursday night, with Denver hitting that field goal yesterday, the buzzer, They both climb above the Colts, basically just because of the schedule, how it's played out. Neither of those teams have had their bye yet. Denver will have their bye this week. New England will have their bye in a few weeks. But those two are at 9-2. The Colts now are at 8-2. If there's any tie within 2 or 3 of those teams, bless you, Mark, the Colts will have the tiebreaker as of now. They obviously have the head-to-head over Denver based off that Week 2 win, and then with New England, they would have the better head-to-head because of a conference record currently. So, again, logistically, I guess you could say the Colts are the 3 seed right now, but as long as they continue to win, and once the bye weeks cycle through, the Colts will be in that 1 seed spot. Colts-Chargers. The playoffs started today.
I feel good about that matchup. Chargers are very banged up. I feel like they're just going through injury after injury up front, and their offensive line, I don't think it's been the same all year. We've talked about the Colts offensive line being one of their strong suits this year as far as just availability. I don't think they started a different 5 all year, knock on wood there.
It's just the Rams game, right? When Gonzalez had his toe.
Did he miss that game?
I think that was the only game.
Yeah. So if that's the case, that is very good.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's rare. Rare.
Exactly. And it kind of leads into a lot of success you've had with Daniel Jones arriving his career here in Indianapolis and JT going off. But as we know, I do think as we talk about the offensive line, the conversation for this week is, as you go to Kansas City, can you correct some of the things we saw kind of popping up the last couple of weeks with the pressure that Daniel Jones was facing, the turnovers that were a result of that? I can't put that all on Daniel Jones. I think he has to, take care of the ball a little bit better. And by that, I mean just 2 hands on it when you're in the pocket. But we've seen when he gets a good offensive line, he is a good quarterback. When he starts to get a little panicky, it's because he doesn't trust his offensive line. And they haven't given him a lot of reasons to trust him with these 12 sacks in the last 2 games versus 9, I believe, in the first 8.
If you had to bet today, Mark Dykton, if you had to bet right now, I hand you a $20 bill.
Oh.
You have to bet on the Bears to win a playoff game or the Chiefs to win a playoff game.
Oh, I mean, I'd be an idiot not to take the Chiefs right now because the Bears just, like I said, week after week, they're barely getting by in some of these games.
They'd be hosting a playoff game if it started today.
No.
The Chiefs would be sitting on the couch watching your Bears, Mark Dykton.
I'm gonna take tried and true. I'm gonna take Andy Reid.
You don't think the Colts are going to beat the Chiefs this weekend and hammer one more nail into them?
That's a possibility.
I mean, it's a possibility. I'm not counting the Chiefs out until they're actually like, nope, they are officially eliminated.
That's how I've always felt about the Golden State Warriors and Steph Curry. I will never count them out until you show me the body of Steph Curry. Mm-hmm. That's just how it is. Same thing with Patrick Mahomes. You're always going to get the benefit of the doubt when you're a guy that's that great.
Max has this crab toy that I feel the same way about. I'm like, how is that thing not dead? I swear I've taken the batteries out of that thing. I have knocked it against the wall. I'm done with that thing, and it just keeps on showing up.
It's probably possessed, probably, at that point. If you're taking the batteries out and it's still doing things.
I was like, Max has a little engineering background.
I feel like I'm watching Toy Story 5.
Speaking about burying things, you need to get that thing out of there and get it out of your house.
James, is the best thing about living in an apartment not having to do leaves?
Yeah, it's not having to deal with anything, really. Like, if something breaks in the apartment, I think I had a garbage disposal issue. I just made one email, and they were there within like 20 minutes to fix it. So that's the best part.
Yeah, those.
We were north of 20 bags, and I don't live like in a big house or a big yard, and we had north of 20 bags.
20 bags?
20.
Boy,
20.
Yeah,
I swear.
I was gonna say that every leaf in.
I'm the home where the neighbors' trees come into my yard.
I was gonna say like that must be the case.
Yeah,
we'll recruit the neighbors.
We have one tree in our backyard, but it's humongous, and it just drops millions of leaves. And I was like, I'm not touching it. So instead of bagging them, I just mulched them up with the lawnmower. Took care of business.
So
not a single bag used.
What is the thought process on that? Are we supposed to mow the leaves or we bag them? I feel like I've heard mixed reviews.
I mulch them just because I think, leaves are, if they break down, they go back into the earth and all that stuff. So I've always done it that way.
Bill Nye.
Well, I'm not waiting, because otherwise, what are you doing with the bags of leaves? You just send them out to where? The woods?
Well, no.
A trash
I agree with you, Mark. You care about the environment, clearly.
Just being environmentally conscious. No, I mean, you can bag them, but I also am just like, well, I'm not filling my garbage bags, my trash cans with garbage bags of leaves. I'll just mulch them up or I'll burn them or something.
Now, you do that for all of them. You don't bag some of them and then mulch.
Didn't bag a single one of them. They're all mulched up and in the ground.
That's like Mike Wells. He ran for that in school board in Hendricks County.
Mulched up and good to go.
That's exactly what.
Do you have to deal with that? Is that like an HOA thing where it's like you have to get the leaves?
We don't
by
have
a
an
certain
HOA,
amount
thank
of-
God, so I don't have to deal with it.
Yeah.
I mean, I think there was a thought where you're supposed to leave some of the leaves for help the nutrition of the lawn. I think Mark was kind of getting to that here, but if I start talking about that, I'll get exposed real quick. Coming up 8 o'clock hour, let's get in the Pacers.
They're talking about cooking a steak.
Pascal, stick the dino nuggets, right? I thought Pascal Siakam had some profound words over the weekend. Also, Chris Ballard, speaking of the Sauce Gardner trade, as we just chatted about with Joe Wrights, his comments, I believe the first public comments about that trade. We'll play that for you upcoming here in the 8 o'clock hour as well. Kevin Bowen, James Boyd, Mark Dykton, thank you for starting off your week with us. We didn't have a chance to expand on it earlier. I definitely wanted to make sure we got back to it. Mark, you mentioned Miles McLaughlin, the running back from Knox High School here. We are now to the semi-state round of the high school football playoffs. Miles McLaughlin and Knox advance. They'll take on Lures coming up on Friday night. This man, in their regional win over Angola, had 53 carries in the game. Aren't there some teams that don't even have 53 plays in the game?
I know. And to boot,
53 carries.
53 carries, I believe, for 372 yards. And I told you I set the over-under at 372.5, which was crazy.
You are such a degenerate, James Boyd.
That's sick if you said that out loud.
I really did say that. And
he
then,
did. He said it.
And then he had 4 touchdowns and then a game-winning pick.
Picturing James going to some Knox diner collecting his winnings on Saturday morning here.
Comes in a brown bag.
Appreciate you, Miles.
They put in the little sugar packets. They put it in there.
Like Kevin picking up the Plot Rickens shirt or something.
It's getting to the point where, and I have to check the schedule, if the Colts are not on the road for that weekend of state finals, I'm going to watch this kid play.
Colts are at home, right? Colts-Texans next week.
So I'm going to watch him play then, if they get to the state championship.
Yeah, that would be.
I would love to see it.
Again, I've said this throughout this run, as he is now 364 yards away from Derrick Henry. I don't want him to break the record Friday night. Honestly, I want him to have like a I know I'm being very selfish here. I need him to have like a 180 game, which I don't think is humanly possible. But I want him to have needs to be in the second half of the state final game to try and get Derrick Henry's record. Again, he's 364 yards away from it. What he did Friday night, though, that broke the single season record. So I think it's like 4,700 yards or something ridiculous. So he has broken that nationally. These are national records.
And the touchdown record for a single season as well.
Yeah, had the national TD record. I think it was 68. And so, yes, he is now north of 70.
They have a stiff opponent coming up, though. Fort Wayne Lures is no slouch.
Yeah, Lures. And, Rake was talking about this, probably the most speed that Knox has seen all year long. So, again, Westfield, Carroll, 6A up north. We'll get Warren, Brownsburg. That's JT Whitaker and all those new starters for Warren facing his former coach in John Hart as he came over from the Brownsburg staff there. Heritage Hills, Roncalli should be a great game in the 4A semi-state there. A couple SEC players on that Heritage Hills roster. And so shout out to LaPel as well. Their first regional title, our only undefeated matchup here in the semi-state round will be LaPel and Brownstown Central coming up on Friday. Week 11 highlights. You guys go where? Was it just the theater of the games or anything else stand out? Colts really didn't get any help from a AFC standings standpoint. Jacksonville might be my sneaky standout from week 11. I didn't think the Jags had that in them.
Yeah, that was crazy.
That was like typical Chargers, though, I feel like, though.
But that margin, Mark?
No, I know what I'm saying, but I get the travel schedule and all that stuff, but I don't know. Even if you lost that game, I expect you at least be competitive in it, and they didn't even show up. It's like the Jaguars have been so Jekyll and Hyde all season long, and the Chargers, you finally think, okay, we have Harbaugh, we're going to put it together, and then you just get waxed by Trevor Lawrence. I don't know.
If we're going just based off performance, I was very impressed with Bryce Young. They beat the Falcons in overtime, 30-27. He was phenomenal. I mean, 31 of 45 passing for 448 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks. So he has these games where I'm like, are you kind of good? Are you a franchise quarterback? I'm not sold because I think he's kind of up and down this year, but boy, that was quite the performance for the former number 1 pick.
I would say Josh Allen was an insane human being.
That was a great game.
That game was unbelievable, but Josh Allen is just a madman.
Yeah,
what was it, 6 total touchdowns?
I forget who he threw it to, but the one he threw deep in that left part of the end zone where he just Houdini'd for 5-6 seconds. I mean, the fact that Buffalo's going to be on the road in all likelihood round 1 of the playoffs. I mean,
and it's not they have a terrible. They're 7-3.
That's why I think it's so critical.
So they might not even win their division.
It's so critical the Colts try and get that 1 seed to avoid Allen in your own building. And frankly, I think Allen on in a controlled climate can do more of that stuff. Buffalo wins a shootout there. Tonight it'll be Raiders Cowboys as we get through here. Is it Bills Texans Thursday? I remember the Thursday game having some intrigue this week.
Yes, it is Bills Texans.
So if you're a Colts fan, you need to be rocking the Mafia there. Coming up on Thursday, Tony East going to join us at 9 o'clock here. We'll talk more about the Pacers. I guess we're obligated to. They've got the Pistons tonight. And I say this in all seriousness, if you are the Pistons, you have to literally think about resting guys. They have Cade Cunningham, Jalen Duren, and the Thompson brother, all listed as questionable. They have a back-to-back tomorrow against the Hawks, and the Pacers have shown a product this year that you would think about, doing the whole rest on the first night of a back-to-back and want them ready for Atlanta. Outside of the teams on the floor tonight, I do think an individual storyline that people care about could be now back on the front burner. We could see the return of Benedict Mathurin tonight. He is listed as questionable. And James, putting to the side for a second here, the Pacers' horrific start record-wise, all the injuries, the Mathurin storyline is real. And it could be back alive again. Again, a quarter, or I should say a game and a half he played to start the season. We'll see where he has been or where he's at.
I have a question about this.
In his return.
What are you asking him to do? Because coming into the season, it was all about, can you play our style of basketball, move the ball, quick decisions? It's all we heard from Rick Carlisle, Chad Buchanan, Ted Wu. And to their credit, I understand why they wanted him to adopt that style of play. But now you're so depleted, you don't have anybody else on your roster outside of a healthy Nembhard and a healthy Pascal Siakam to create a shot for you.
Yeah, you need ball.
Do you just tell him, all right, go be your natural self, which is I'm just going to go kill and get fouled and take a bunch of shots? And again, this isn't a discredit to Benedict Mathurin because I thought early on this season he was cooking. He was playing very good basketball, at least offensively. So what is that balance? Do you still want to send him that same message of quick decision-making, moving the ball, team basketball, all those things? Or are you saying, you know what, we're desperate, let's just go out there and let you rock out?
Yeah, I think it's a great question. Honestly, it's probably one for Rick when he joins us coming up tomorrow morning at this time. But to answer it, I would say you need ball hog. You need Benedict Mathurin, head down, attacking the basket, doing that aspect, playing to probably his greatest strength. Because right now, James, I just see such a deer in headlights look from anybody not named Nembhard and Siakam. Yeah, I see scared basketball. And you're just asking guys to be in position. Like, the center rotation has gotten zero clarity whatsoever.
Your best center has probably been Tony Bradley, which wasn't supposed to be the case coming into this season.
It's largely just flip a coin. I mean, yes, Bradley, sure, but again, the level of
you're
center
right.
play
I am trying to
that you've got. I mean, we are stretching for
straws
anything. Like Saturday night was a perfect example of it is Siakam, Nembhard, and then a bunch of random dudes.
Yeah,
and that's just where you're at. Jarris Walker has been an utter disappointment. Now a dozen games.
That's one that really bothers me because, again, if you're looking for the silver linings within this season, and coming into this year, you knew you weren't going to get back to the finals and contend for a championship without Tyrese Halliburton, but you were trying to get those wins perhaps on the margins. And by wins on the margins, I mean the development of certain players. Yeah. Benedict Mathurin, Jarris Walker, Johnny Furphy. You haven't seen that. And the biggest one to me that could really push your fortunes in a positive directions was if we saw a leap from Jarris Walker.
Yeah, because that was some silver lining in the bad
because
record.
of the size, the versatility, and all this right now. It's theoretical because we haven't seen it in practice. And in practice, I mean, we haven't seen it in real games because he looks unsure of himself. And I don't know how he gains more confidence as the season goes on because, what are we, 13 games in? And I'm no closer to the Jarris Walker answer, well, at least positively, than I was
going to say,
coming into the year.
You might be closer to it. It just might be the answer Pacers fans don't want.
Yeah.
Now, they've lost 5 straight by at least 15 points. That is the first time in franchise history that has occurred. And, James, I think to take it a step further, and I don't want to turn this into like a gambling thing here, but
well, you know me, I gamble on high school kids. Shout out Miles McLaughlin.
Yeah, I was going to say, we just had a last
Do we have
segment
audio
about
of that? Did he really say 372
I
on
have
Friday?
to look it up, but he said something.
I think it was 372 to 373. It was right around
very
there.
close, yeah.
Sick.
I'll dig it up.
He's robbing the Knox mail carrier of all his money with that. If you look at this 5-game losing streak, James, and you look at how the Pacers have played to the spread, because I bring that up to say this, the nightly spread, the reason that I bring it up, it offers an indicator of, okay, injury-wise, how these teams are recently playing.
Yeah.
What is the expectation for tonight's game? And if you did that, just looked at the spread, the Pacers have lost their last 5 games against the spread by 7, 18, 26, 31, and 11. So even if you were strictly betting the spread, which again, the spread takes into factor
Injuries,
no Aaron Nesmith,
and all those things,
no
yes.
Obi Toppin, all the injuries that have transpired, the bad Pacer play that we've seen, they're getting run out of the building in Vegas.
Yeah.
Just as much as they're getting run out of the building just in the natural score up on the scoreboard here. So, I said this Friday, and I'll repeat it again. To me, yes, their health situation is rather unprecedented. I think Caitlin Cooper threw out the stat, which is just wild, that if you add up the first 13 games, the main core, and she used Nembhard, Nesmith, Mather, and Siakam, the main 4 we expected coming into the season, has played 7 minutes together. So, there's part of me that hears that 7 minutes through 13 games.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, how upset can I get? But then I look at the nightly product based off kind of where we're at now a month into the season, and I'm like, well, damn, I can't ignore it. I find myself very frustrated in how to properly even look at 1 and 12. I guess both can be true, right? They're really hurt and they're really bad. And Tyrese Halliburton should get a lot of MVP votes this year.
I was always on that train, though. I think losing Tyrese, the top 15 player in the league, again, not my opinion on that. That is a fact based off of the All-NBA selections. Not having him in there was going to be a huge absence to try to absorb. But, yeah, at this point, you can point to injuries, but you cannot use that as an excuse for why you're just getting blown out every night. So I'm very curious to talk to Rick Carlisle tomorrow to see what solutions he's trying to find, because it's driving him crazy to not have a team out there that's at least competitive, because this doesn't feel like the early season losses against OKC, double overtime, or, a few of those games. I want to say Minnesota might have been a close game as well.
Yeah, that was when Nesmith had that 3 for the win.
Exactly. But now it's like you're rolling the ball out there, and we can just pencil in a double-digit loss.
I thought this was pretty profound.
Real quick, let's play the tape real quick because we do have proof.
I'm setting the over at 372.5.
That is sick.
That is disgusting.
That's freaking sick.
That is disgusting.
Let's go.
And that's not AI generated.
No, that's Friday.
I told you I was
James
right on
Boyd.
the nose, baby.
Man, you got issues, dude.
Look,
That's disgusting.
when I'm right, I'm right. When I'm wrong, I still might be right. It's just that when I'm right, I'm right.
53 carries.
No, I didn't
You
set the over
imagine?
under on that. I would have never took the over on that.
Do they carry him to the after party after the
That's
game?
what I'm
What are they
saying.
doing there?
I feel like they should have a chariot awaiting him in
Seriously.
Knox.
Go right to a physical therapy center.
I'm actually curious about this,
Well,
and maybe that's something we
Third
can.
period organic chem, and there's Miles just sitting in an ice bath in the back.
I would be very curious to know what his recovery process is like, though, for a high schooler. Seriously.
Yeah.
Because if this is our golden ticket to a state championship, how quickly are you off your feet? Are you doing red light therapy? Are you doing the cupping? What other things are you doing
Nice.
at that age?
Sign me up for Cascade and Knox coming up here.
That would be pretty
next
special.
weekend, and the record still at play. All right, let's play this Pascal Siakam clip, Mark. I thought this is, one thing I totally underestimated Siakam by was just his amount of leadership. And I think he's had a lot of profound words over the last 3 or 4 years. I guess, has it been 4 years? Probably not. In his Pacer tenure here. But this is Siakam after the loss to the Raptors on Saturday night.
I'm trying to get better, continue to find ways to improve, how to be able to lead this team, and continue to fight every single night. I think 1 through 15, we got to look ourselves in the mirror, and do more. I'm trying to find ways how I can, continue to just inspire out there with fight and maybe I need to be a little bit more demonstrate, just more vocal and trying to lead more by example, and do my best. But it starts with me. I got to get better. I think 1 through 15, we just got to look ourselves in the mirror. I don't think the fans deserve, the way we've been playing and just the effort. I don't think it's there. And we got to be better. And it's gonna take all of us to just dig down and go out there and fight every single night. At this point, no matter who's out there, I know there's a lot of people that was not used to what we do, but you just got to go and fight. We got to play harder. And like I said, it starts with me. Like I'm trust me, I'm watching film every day, trying to find a way to get better and be the best version of myself, so that we can start getting some wins. Because it's not pretty.
You just want to give him a hug when you hear that.
He's a great leader from that perspective. Very introspective answer, and what stood out to me was the effort part, certainly. But what solutions can you find?
Yeah, I got nothing for you.
That's got to be the one that's probably the most frustrating for Pascal Siakam, Rick Carlisle, and others is, you care. You care deeply. We're never questioning whether or not Pascal Siakam is going out there and putting forth a product that you can be proud of as a Pacers fan. But, man, it is bleak right now, and it doesn't really get any easier, especially in their very next matchup.
Yeah, Pistons tonight, that's the best team right now in the Eastern Conference. They are 8.5-point favorite. For what it's worth, Detroit has a lot of their notable guys listed as questionable. I bring that up because they do have a back-to-back, and the sad reality of the Indiana Pacers in this year of 2025, the fall of it, is they're now the team you probably look to rest against.
Yeah, that is a reality.
3 months ago, we were talking about the Pacers setting NBA records, and now they're setting franchise records in the negative light as 5 straight 15-point losses. More on this with Tony East coming up at 9. I do want to get to that Chris Ballard audio here, maybe in about 10 minutes or so, his comments on the Sauce Gardner trade, and where things stand for the Colts as they return from their bye week today. Shane Steichen will meet the media here in a little bit, and they'll get back to practice on Wednesday as they start their stretch run. Mark Dykton, a busy morning check down to get to. All right, let's begin around the NFL. It was one of the more entertaining weeks we have seen so far. We had 5 wins on the final play of games yesterday. That tied for the most in a single day of NFL history. Jacoby Brissett sets an NFL record with 47 completions in a game. That is now your stat to stump your cube mates with. Who is the NFL record holder for most completions in a game? It is indeed Jacoby Brissett. Shedeur Sanders played in an NFL game. It did not go well. Bills-Bucks was an awesome game, and the loudest cheer from Mark Dykton yesterday was not Cairo Santos' 49-yard field goal. It was Aaron Rodgers getting hurt.
No, I want him out there. I don't want him hurt. I want him out there and just to get pummeled on a weekly basis and be like, I shouldn't be doing this anymore.
You want him out there to get hurt more? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. I should be yelling at my family and having no contact with them and then just get pummeled on a weekly basis. That's what I want.
There's no hate like Mark Dykton.
I'm pissed that he's probably not playing on Sunday.
He has a small fracture in his wrist, Mark.
Get out there.
I will say this, though. We left out the fact that Jamar Chase spit on somebody.
Yeah, so what happened there? Ramsey threw a punch after. Is this like who spit earlier in the year?
Jalen Carter.
I was going to say.
And Dak Prescott.
Suspended for a game?
He has to get suspended for a game.
Suspended. Dak did not, right?
Technically because he didn't play a defensive snap yet, they suspended him for that game. But yeah, if that is the line you're using as punishment, then Jamar Chase won't be playing next week for the Bengals. They got to a little scuffle, him and Jalen Ramsey. We saw Jalen Ramsey punch him, and after the game, Jalen Ramsey said, well, he spit on me. So after that, I don't give a F about football. It's time to go play. And then, or not play, time to go fight. And then Jamar Chase said, I didn't spit on him. I didn't open my mouth. But there is video, brother.
And it doesn't lie.
You definitely spit on him. You liar.
You spit on that man.
Eagles beat the Lions last night, Sunday Night Football, for those that didn't stay up for it. And Chiefs Broncos, I think that had a lot of attention here naturally with the Colts playing Kansas City coming up this weekend. You know, what I saw from the Chiefs yesterday, I saw a team with 1 million penalties. I saw a team with tons of drops. And that Mahomes red zone interception was just awful. I mean, that is, when you're facing a Denver defense, you cannot squander scoring opportunities like that. So I fully acknowledge Denver's defense is great, but boy, this Kansas City team, it's a wild stat. Last year they were 11-0 in one possession games, and this year they are 0-5.
Did you see the Josh Allen interception that he threw? I thought that was one of the worst interceptions I've ever seen.
I have not seen
Buffalo was backed up, and he like chest passed it just in the air to avoid a safety.
Yeah, it had some Carson Wentz vibes to it.
Yeah, that was awful. And I was like, oh boy, that could do the Bills in. It shockingly did not, but that was an early error. And I'm like, that was one of the worst interceptions I've ever seen from a guy I would not expect to see that from.
The early line, Colts opening up as a field goal underdog with Jim Nantz and Tony Romo on the call. Colts and Chiefs coming up. That's 1 o'clock.
Oh, my gosh. I just watched this. This is horrible.
1 o'clock on Sunday.
Oh, boy. Gosh. I would say bench him.
Make sure you watch the full Josh Allen.
If it wasn't
highlights
Josh
from
Allen,
that
I'd
game.
be like, get this man out of my sight.
All right, college football from over the weekend. Indiana down in Bloomington, 31-7 on senior day. I have a new favorite Indiana football player. His name, and I hope I'm pronouncing his last name right, I think it's Nowakowski. He's number 37. Every time they throw him the ball, I think he's a fullback. I guess he's a tight end, and he just looks like the hardest dude in the world to tackle. He's my favorite player there. Fernando Mendoza, more touchdowns and incompletions. He also was sacked 5 times. I don't know. I feel like IU weirdly is kind of played with their food lately, but then I'm like, did you watch Texas A&M and South Carolina, Kevin?
Lord. How could you lose that game, South Carolina? You're up 30-3. And you lose 31-30. Don't score in the second half.
Be curious what the standings look like tomorrow night as we get into another week.
Also, shout out to that police officer or state trooper or whoever that was who was wildly aggressive in the tunnel.
He might show up on my goats of the weekend here. Kurt Signetti, great line after the game, talking about senior day and all of this, and it goes to show you the awe of what Kurt Signetti has done down there. He said something along the lines of I hope it's our last home game of the year. And I'm kind of jogging that comment in my brain. I'm like, well, yeah, I guess he's right. He doesn't want a home playoff game. He wants a bye. He wants one of the top 4 seats, and
they close it out. Yeah, they close it out. They get top 4 seeds.
I mean, it's just amazing. They'll get Purdue here coming out of the bye week. Purdue, absolutely horrific out there in the Pacific Northwest. 49-13, their biggest loss of the season. Barry Odom's words, we got whooped, and I would say that was very accurate. And Notre Dame, yes, I'm biased, but I would say pretty impressive on the road, beating Pittsburgh to the level that they did on Saturday. College basketball from this weekend, Butler SMU. We did not mention that on Saturday. The Bulldogs spirited comeback there late in that game, but they give up a huge offensive rebound late, and SMU hits a layup after that. Finley Bizjack, I got halfway decent, as decent as a 35-footer can look there at the end, but it did not go in. My Irish, I was weeping yesterday as they blew that one in the final minute there. Just could not get the clutch basket on one end or the clutch stop on the other end. They lose at Ohio State. Purdue beats Akron last night. They pulled away from them pretty convincingly. That's an Akron team I know a lot of people in the mid-major world think can actually win a game in the tournament there. Purdue, great balance. Fletcher Lawyer, outstanding the first half. I thought Omar Meyer stepped up.
I'm liking what I'm seeing from him early.
Yeah, he had some really quality minutes last night. That is win number 500 for Purdue. And Indiana survived Incarnate Word. There's probably a religious joke in there somewhere.
I was going to say it definitely sounds like one.
On a Sunday, but I'm not funny enough to
God,
pull
if you're
that
listening, strike that way.
Darren DeVries not happy with the amount of one-on-one ball from his Hoosiers last night. They were 5 of 24 from 3. That's not what we're used to. I don't think Incarnate Word is good either. Colorado State beat them by 32.
I want to say their coach actually is from
they
Indiana.
used to have Carson Cunningham, right?
Yes, but they have now Shane Harriman. Hope I'm saying the last name correctly. And apparently he is from Mishawaka.
Speaking of the Indiana ties, am I allowed to give a golf shout-out?
Feel free, my brother.
Shout out to Adam Schenk. Mark, you remember we had Adam Schenk on the show?
I do remember
this name.
Okay, so this was the week of the Final Four, right? And he had just gotten into the Masters.
Uh-huh.
And we were trying to figure out a way for him to get to Purdue's national championship game against Connecticut, which was in Phoenix, if I remember correctly, but then also get to Augusta National. In his 243rd career start on the PGA Tour, Adam Schenk gets it done, the Vincennes, Indiana product. He gave a shout-out to the 812 in his post-round interview. I love that. From a sod farm down there over on the southwest portion of the state. He has had an awful season. Was really trying to keep his PGA Tour card, and he gets his first career win. They flashed up a graphic. I think he was the 7th longest active streak on tour without a win. Again, 243 career starts. Great dude. This keeps his card through 2027. It was a wild final round in Bermuda. Some crazy wins. He came up short with a 5-iron from 131 at one point. How far can you hit your 5-iron, Mark Dykton?
Ugh, I don't know. I couldn't even venture a guess. It depends how I'm swinging it that day. Hopefully over 100. but no guarantees.
I ain't gonna lie, Mark. It depends on how I'm swinging it that day. It's quite
It's one of the more accurate depictions, I feel like, for many people out there. I would say most probably think 5-iron. I don't know, 180-ish. And this guy came up short from 131 with this 5-iron. Just goes to show you how windy it was yesterday in Bermuda. So shout out to Adam Shake. Really good dude. And happy to see him get it done. The only other thing I got, guys, is Monon Bell. It's staying in Greencastle. Pretty impressive. The DePaul Tigers there, Brett Dietz and company, 4th year in a row that they will keep the bell, and they advance to the D3 playoffs. Wisconsin Whitewater. They will get in round. I think they don't play for another week, so I think they get a little bit of a bye. Anything else for you guys?
No, now you just brought up some bad memories because last time I swung a club, we went to the driving range, and Ashley was with me, and I've never hit it farther and straighter in my life consistently at that round at the driving range. And I'm like, where the hell is this when it actually matters? When I'm actually on the course trying to play? What is going on here?
Well, hey, at least you're impressing her.
She was just like, how often does that happen? I'm like, never. This never happens. I don't know what's going on.
Maybe you and Ashley need to go 18 holes at West Chase.
Maybe. Put a visor on her. Yeah, get her out there.
Put a visor on her. Yeah, I'm sure that's exactly what she wants. Yeah.
Yeah.
How's Nelly doing, by the way?
Go ahead and dress me in some golf apparel. Nelly's good. Yeah, I'm trying to think.
Sleeping through the night, I imagine.
Definitely
no
not
issues
sleeping
at all.
through the night. I went downstairs probably
Such a troll.
4:30 with her
I've been there
this morning. But yeah, she's pooping, she's peeing, she's seemingly eating, and
seemingly eating.
Well, that's Max Bowen. He's confused right now.
He is very confused about the anatomy. Is she eating or is she drinking, Mommy? Well, that's probably a decent debate you could get in there. But yes, Nelly healthy, 10 days in, so very grateful for the Colts bye weekend, a quiet weekend at the Bowen house. Dad, what is her penis doing?
That was quite a quote from you last week.
I know. Was I allowed to say that on air?
Yes, it's scientific.
Okay.
It's the medical term.
Yeah, strictly human anatomy, right?
Yep, we're
For
teaching young kids.
For those very confused by that, Max a little confused on the umbilical cord.
I'm also confused usually.
And
that's fine.
What exactly that was on Nelly's body there. So
what am I looking at here? What do we got going on? Yeah. What is this situation?
All right, coming up on the other side, Chris Ballard's thoughts on the Sauce Gardner trade. We'll play that for you next. Tell you what, James Boyd, 9 months from now, I'm a little worried here, Mark Dykton.
I love Kaylani. Kaylani, if you're listening, which I know you are.
The celebrity crush.
Yeah. Marry your boy. I'll get on one knee for you.
Can you imagine if she just was listening?
Oh, I don't have to imagine. I'm a DM her after the show and be like, hey, I know, shout out to you.
That is James Boyd. Mark Dykton, of course, on the ones and twos. I'm Kevin Bowen. Hopefully Jeff will be back tomorrow. Tony East going to join us at the top of the hour. We will, I guess, reluctantly talk a little Pacers. James, I did see this over the weekend. I guess technically it was recorded last week during the bye week, but Chris Ballard joined his friend. You remember the name Mike Tice, NFL coach? Remember that name?
Yeah, yes, I'm sorry. I said Tice, I said yice, but yes.
So Mike Tice and Chris, I believe, overlapped in Chicago. They're Mike, a position coach.
Feels like a lifetime ago
for the
Chris
Bears.
Ballard.
Yeah, and Chris Ballard, an area scout for Chicago. And Tice has got some sort of TV show or podcast. And Ballard joined him. And among the questions he was asked about was the Sauce Gardner trade. And again, it's the first time we've really heard from Chris outside of a canned statement on the trade for Ahmad Sauce Gardner. So here was Chris Ballard joining Mike Tice on that deal.
This is a players' league. I mean, it is. And the more top players you have, the great players you have, the better chance it gives you to win. So it was kind of unique to where I remember talking to New York and Darren and saying, I said, who's available? And he said, everybody. I said, okay, what about Sauce? And over a few weeks, we kept talking about it and going through our guys. And I finally told our guys, I said, look, he's a 24-year-old corner and a top player at a premium position. That it's going to cost us a lot to get him. But on the flip side of that, the 4-year cost for us ends up being a little over 17.8, and then over 6 years, it's like $22 million. So financially, getting a cost control contract already done, so I didn't have to worry about that. He's 24 years old. So not only a short-term move, but also a long-term move because of his age. And we think when we get, Mooney Ward back, we're going to have two corners that we're going to give Lou and the defensive staff some real flexibility of what they can do on defense.
James, what do you make of the GM's comments on Sauce Gardner?
The last part is the most intriguing to me, knowing that you get to pair Sauce with Javarius Ward. That's the vision. You make that move not only to get Sauce, but to have it be a part of a bigger picture for your defense, especially your secondary, which now, I mean, you're loaded. Assuming that Mooney can be fully healthy, Mooney, Kenny Moore, Sauce Gardner, and then on the back end with your safeties, you have Nick Cross, who's having a career year, and Cam Bynum, who, I mean, quietly, if I can use that word, has 2 interceptions, I believe a forced fumble and a fumble recovery, and a sack thrown in there as well. So that to me is very intriguing, but also just the aggressiveness. You need stars in this league, and he's talked about it. And now that you've kind of figured it out at quarterback, it allows you to be more aggressive, I think, in other areas because they feel some conviction in the guy throwing the ball, which is the most important aspect, I think. And I'm not saying it's like I'm some genius, but that's the most important aspect of an NFL team having success usually is having your quarterback.
Yeah, I think that part certainly is intriguing. Hearing Ballard talk specifically about Sauce Gardner's age and the contract.
Can I ask him his birthday, by the way?
Why?
Everyone keeps saying he's 24, but everyone in line says he's 25. So I got to ask this guy, are you 24 or 25?
It's Danny Almonte.
I mean, I'm just checking. Well, wasn't Buddy Hield like there was like a year there where we didn't know how old he was or something like that?
I was confused. The managers of that Bronx Little League team that threw Danny Almonte out there. Do you you got to shave the trash stash before he goes on the mound?
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, that's got to be, hey, day of game, your
Look
pregame
younger.
routine is we got to get the razor. And,
That's true.
I mean, just find it at the local Williamsport hotel or something there. I guess they all stay in dorms. But, again, why did the Colts feel this trade was worth it? You hear Ballard talk age and contract, and I think that is clearly a big reason why such a significant trade package was thrown in there. What did you make? Because I think you posted something on this. I don't know if you posted something on The Athletic. What did you make of DeForest Buckner and him heading to it was Panama, right?
Yeah.
For stem cell I guess treatment would be the right word to use.
Yeah, let me pull this up
on this neck injury
on X because this was, I want to say this kind of came out when I was getting through the Chicago area, and so I had to stop and send out a tweet. But yeah, so DeForest Buckner shared on his Instagram story, this was Friday, that he had gone to Panama, and it shows him kind of going under the knife, and the doctors kind of have like these little tools they're using on his neck. And the caption he used was, "Thank you to the company out there, this team, for always helping me with my recovery. The best in the world. The comeback is going to be legendary." So now the question becomes, because I got a few reactions, mixed reactions from Colts fans, like, okay, he's going to be back right after the bye, and right after he gets off IR, and he'll be ready to go for Seattle. Others are saying get ready for the playoffs. Others are like, does the comeback mean next season? Because neck surgery sounds very serious. Regenerative stem cell treatment sounds very serious. And I'm not sure how all that stuff really works. I know he did it last year, went to Panama, got some work done on his ankle when he was on IR and came back and played, but necks are different than ankles. So I don't know how to feel about it, Kevin. And at this point, man, I've read you last week what Shane Steichen said, and it was a long-winded way to say nothing. And that's no disrespect to Shane Steichen. It's just that no one can really commit to how available he's going to be. Everything I've gotten from behind the scenes has been some variation of what Shane has already said. We hope to get him back. That does not mean he will be back. And so that'll be something else we have to ask Shane about today to see if there's any further updates to what's going on there.
Yeah, and like you said, he had gone to Panama. I think last year, or maybe this past offseason, he had publicly thanked the Ursays for allowing him to go to Panama last year.
Yep. They flew him out there.
Right, flew him down there for the ankle treatment when he suffered the high ankle sprain back early last season. Yeah, there's so much of Buckner that I think he would want to do everything in his power to be back this year. And I guess you could say that for every athlete, but when you think about Buckner's age, he's north of 30. When you think about where the Colts are at from a season standpoint, like these opportunities don't grow on trees. Buckner has been as close as you can be to winning a Super Bowl. When you add up all of that, I would think, yes.
And he's been so durable. It's like, I know in his mind, he's got to be thinking like,
right,
I never get hurt.
Right, and obviously when you go back to the play, I mean, he ended up playing, I think, the rest of the game in that Pittsburgh game when he supposedly suffered the injury. So, again, we can get into this debate maybe a little bit later, maybe even on tomorrow's show. Going back to what we said earlier with Joe Wrights, how do you view the return of Ward versus the loss of Buckner? Do they go hand in hand? Are they equal? Does one overweigh the other? I think that's an interesting debate. For what it's worth, Kansas City did lose, I want to say their left guard yesterday, suffered a concussion in that game. So interior offensive line health for them could be a little bit banged up here coming up on Sunday. Let's get to our GOATs of the weekend on the other side and much more on the Pacers. Tony East joins us coming up at 9. That's the way right there to Kevin Bowen's heart, Mark Dykton. Give me some Kesha.
Oh,
I hope she's doing well. She put out bangers, man.
Bangers with a Z.
Mm-hmm.
No S in the name. That's a $sign. KE $HA. I've seen Kesha in concert 3 times.
Whoa.
I didn't know that.
I drove to Louisville to see her one night.
That had to be great vibes.
On a weeknight.
It's just positive. Makes
It was
you feel
a
good
How
about
long
life.
ago was this? Was this recently? Like
Probably.
pre-kids?
I think it was last week.
Last week.
No. You imagine.
Nelly was just born.
I took Nelly. I put Nelly in the coat rack in her car
No.
seat and just, sat in the back. And if I heard her scream, then it was fine.
I'll tell you what,
freaking love
Kevin.
Kesha. That's probably 7 years
I've never
ago, Mark.
wanted to fight you, but if I see Nelly on the Simba cam at the next Colts home game, and it looks like the Similac is still on her, I'm going to be ready to fight you.
Similac.
It's one of the oldest things that you've ever said, dropping the
I'm impressed he even
Similac.
knows what it is.
I know. I'm shocked. Gosh, man. Do you want to babysit? Are you sure? We aren't to bottles just yet, but,
I know a couple of things.
I think we introduced bottles here at some point in the next week or so.
That might be the most jarring thing I've ever heard James say on these airwaves.
That's
that he knows
wilder
what
than him
Similac
predicting
is.
Miles McLaughlin would have 372
Wow.
rushing yards on
On a
Friday.
roll, babe. What can I say?
Unbelievable there. We'll talk more Pacers with Tony East coming up at 9. Mark Dykton, cue us up for some GOATs of the weekend.
Who is the GOAT?
I told you all that I was the greatest of all time. Jordan, here's Michael at the foul line. A shot on Elo. Good!
That's what I'm talking about. That's why he's MVP. That's why he's the GOAT. The GOAT.
Or GOAT?
This guy sucks.
Of the week.
Similac and James Boyd, man, that was excellent. Boy, this might be one of the more eye-opening segments. Some people are like, I didn't know Kevin Bowen was a Kesha fan, and I don't know James Boyd knew what Similac was. But nonetheless, Mark Dykton, I'm going to let you decide. Your Bears are 7-3. They're the worst 7-3 football team I've ever seen.
I know.
But they're 7-3. And
Defense can't stop a lick.
they're leading arguably the best division in all of football right now. Do you want to start good GOAT or bad GOAT?
Well, it was a Colts bye week, but I would argue it was kind of a bad bye week, wouldn't you say? Jaguars won.
Probably fair.
Texans won.
Yep.
Broncos beat the Chiefs.
Right. Patriots win if you go back to
Patriots
Thursday
won.
night. Yeah.
Not
Okay.
great, I would say.
Yeah, you didn't get any help.
So you're going negative to start.
Negative GOAT.
Where are you going?
This might sound crazy. I think the Arizona Cardinals are the worst football team in the NFL. Like, I know Jacoby Brissett just set the completion thing, but they are bad. They are really terrible.
Brother,
And
have you watched the Jets?
I was going to say,
I've watched
the Jets are god
I've watched
awful.
the Jets, but I'm like, I'm watching the Cardinals the
Do you
last
need to
couple
throw
weeks.
in the Browns and act like Myles
I'm
Garrett's
just
not
like-
on the team?
I'm watching them, and like this is, I feel like the second or third time in a row where the Cardinals are out of it within like the first half of the first quarter.
I thought they had a bunch of one-score losses before that.
They did,
but
but
they're down like they played the Seahawks. They were down like 20-0 instantly. And
are
it's
they
like,
having like a Pacers sort of effect where the fight is wearing off a little bit?
Yeah, and they had no Marvin Harrison and everything. I mean, it's not good. And like, what's the plan with Kyler Murray? They seem to have pulled that. I mean, he wasn't even he's in street clothes and everything. I just feel like, what are we doing here? Yeah, Cardinals are not good. I don't enjoy watching them at all, and I hate that they're on the time zone that probably gives them a lot of late window kicks because they're not a good team to watch.
Man, I did not have that on the bingo card. All right, James Boyd, where are you going for your negative GOAT?
Jamar Chase, you spit on somebody. Come on, man. Like, you lost the game. That's enough. But then we see on the replay, Jalen Ramsey punched you, and everyone's going, why did he punch him? You say, I didn't spit on him. I didn't even open my mouth. After Jalen Ramsey accused you of that, and then we see the video, and you Haktua'd the man. Not good.
I'm going with that cop at the A&M South Carolina
that's
game.
Bad.
I mean, I am all for SEC football. I mean, I love SEC football more than anybody. I think the drama, the reality show. Maddie's obsessed with that Mormon Wives reality show right now. Honestly, the SEC should just create a reality show. It would be absolutely electric. I don't know what the hell that cop was thinking after. Was it South Carolina scored? It was the A&M cop, right?
Yeah, he was tripping.
Sounded like they relieved him of his duties there. My good go to the weekend, I am all about the tush-push wrinkles. The tush-push, we talk about it endlessly. It should be banned, blah, blah, blah. I loved what the Baltimore Ravens did yesterday. Mark Andrews under center. They faked the tush push. Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry go left. A little counter by Mark Andrews to the right. And that was what, a 30, 35-yard touchdown? A huge play to help them defeat the Cleveland Browns. That was my go to the weekend. I loved a tush push wrinkle. It's about time we've seen it.
My good GOAT, I would have to go with Stephen Curry. He is amazing. Back-to-back 40-point games over the weekend against the Spurs. And in the second one, when he scored 49, he shot a step-back three over Wemby and then stared Wemby down before the ball would even went through the hoop. So that, to me, was bizarre, crazy. And Steph is just a maniac. There's no other player I probably watched in my life where I think that's the greatest player ever.
Kevin just showed like half dozen Kesha pictures from a concert he was at in a Kesha t-shirt.
Oh, you were like close too. You're a real fan.
It was like a small little picture, like, I don't know, Hi-Fi or something like that. I mean, not like a huge concert venue by any means. It was on 4th Street in Louisville. I forget the venue, but I bought one of those t-shirts at the $29.99 probably. Just a total waste of money. But
I didn't know the fandom ran.
Did it shrink instantly?
Let me look at it. It's like a medium on me. No, you imagine that thing fit me now? Could probably fit Rosie.
My good GOAT had nothing to do with football. It was what I did after football last night. After easy, calm down. Kids went to bed. Ashley and I had some alone time.
It's the family show.
I think we're like, a little over it here, Mark. We got to get to Tony East.
What should we do with this free time we have?
The Bears are 7-3, honey. Free time to celebrate.
We fired up.
The Leafs are all picked up.
Get your minds out of the gutter, people. We fired up the pilot episode of Pluribus, the new show by Vince Gilligan. Yeah. Holy hell, was that good. I would highly recommend that. I would say best to go into it without
just don't watch
knowing
anything.
as much as possible.
Just watch it.
It was thrilling. It was creepy. It was intense. It was funny. I can't wait to get out of here and watch episodes 2 and 3 that have already dropped on Apple TV. Pluribus. If you like Breaking Bad, if you like Better Call Saul, it's a little different, but it's by the guy that made both of those. Excellent, excellent, excellent. I was jaw on the floor. It was awesome.
Trying to add that boy to the Dykton family here. That would be, the child
I'd have
number
to reverse
4.
science, Kevin. I can't do that just yet.
Well,
I ain't gonna lie, brother. Got a little risque there for a second.
Maybe head to Panama where the Forrest Buckner is going here. You never know what those stem cells can do down under. All right, on the other side, it is Tony East. He's going to talk a little Pacers with us next. 9 o'clock on a Monday. Another Kesha banger here, courtesy of Mark Dykton.
Hey, I didn't know you were that deep of a fan, but we've unearthed something from Kevin Bowen. So
dollar sign for the S. Very critical when you're spelling Kesha's name. Ke $HA here. Pacers Pistons coming up tonight up there in Detroit. Let me throw some words at you guys, okay? All right? Hear me out on this list. Dennis, Morris, Peter, Martin, Bradley.
Sounds like the Apostles.
James? Mark says the Apostles.
The Temptations. No, I have no idea.
Dennis, Morris, Peter, Martin, Bradley. What if I added one more? What if I added Robinson Earl?
These are all the players that were on hardship contracts or non-guaranteed contracts with the Pacers.
That was a Tony East tweet one night recently of the bench players available to the Pacers in a game. That would be Ray J. Dennis. That would be Monte Morris. That would be Talon Peter. That would be, who the hell's the Martin? Cody Martin. Oh, I almost his name his brother. Tony Bradley,
Martin
and Jeremiah
Lawrence.
Robinson Earl. Let's bring Tony East on. I say that half jokingly, half seriously. Like, how can we be critical of the Pacers right now? I just named their bench. Mark thought it was the Apostles, and James thought it was the Temptations.
No David Ruffin.
I mean, I just struggle with it. Tony East, good morning to you. How are you?
I'm good, unlike the Pacers' health this year, as you just laid out. And the craziest part of that tweet is, the reason I went through that is Ray J. Dennis was the longest tenured Pacer of the group. They signed him in January. Like, not only is it not like the world's most talented 5 players, it's just like this. Like, they have no experience at all. It was, and lo and behold, they got blasted that night. It's just been brutal for them.
Yeah, obviously a lot to unpack here. We appreciate the time. Okay, let's start with maybe I would say the biggest individual disappointment so far this season. That would be Jarris Walker. Your observations from Jarris's game have been what?
Yeah, it's been very poor. I mean, the road trip he just went on, he was 8 for 39 from the field with 11 turnovers. I don't think more turnovers than made shots is anyone's favorite 4-game stretch ever. And it's been kind of odd the way it's gone, because I don't know how you guys felt, but he played that game in Dallas, earlier in the season. It was his first start of the season, and he was good. The first quarter was probably the best stretch of play he's had ever. He was guarding really well. He made shots. He wasn't turning it over very often. He looked really good. And so I wondered, he talked on the broadcast that night about starting was good for him that night, and it helped him with focus and stuff like that. And then since then, he's just progressively kind of fallen the opposite direction. And he's back in starting 5 with Aaron Smith out now. So I wanted to juice him up in their last game, and it did not. He missed a bunch of shots again, and he's had some floaty turnovers every night. And he's just not putting anything together, right? Like stuff that you hoped he'd get out of his game, which is making a read but throwing a terrible pass. That's still happening all the time. He can't guard the faster players who just get by him and get where they want to go all the time. It feels like he, has a couple possessions every game where it's like he's just not paying attention to what's going on. It's just all very strange. And this was a huge even if he wasn't sick, even if they weren't hurt, huge opportunity for him this season for playing every game and being a constant 20-plus minute a night kind of guy. And instead, he's just been woefully inefficient and turned it over a bunch. His defense doesn't look any better. Like, what is this player supposed to be? What are his strengths supposed to be when the team is good again? He hasn't shown any of those things. So not only is he not contributing, he's not giving himself a chance to be a key part of the next good Pacers team. It's been very, very disappointing in that very little has popped outside of one part of a couple games, 4 through 6 of the season.
Well, I'll tell you what, Tony, you really just put me on the couch there. So now that I'm, going to go through my therapy session, what other things should I be worried about with this Pacers team? Because that's one of them, but the shooting is the other. I know I hopped on Locked On Pacers with you last night, and the shooting is historically bad. Not just for the Pacers, but for anybody in the NBA. So I know you've kind of gone on a rabbit hole about this. Can you give some context of what we're seeing from the others outside of Pascal Siakam?
Yeah, well, he's had some, 8 for 19 kind of nights, and it's expected from him with the coverages he's seeing. But
I'll give him a pass on that because of the coverage.
Yeah, it's so bizarre. Like they can't make anything. And I understand, like last year with Halliburton on the floor, I think they had a 57% effective field goal percentage and like 54, 53 with him on the bench. And in games he just didn't play at all, it was like 51. Okay, that sounds cool. They can't even get to 51. They're not even close. They're like in the mid-40s this season. Like a 6% drop is not just that Tyrese Halliburton isn't playing, right? The available players are missing way more than they did last year, even in somewhat similar situations, that it's kind of just like a wonder, I think even to them in some ways, how this is happening. Like Rick Carlisle said, I can't remember what game this was before. It might have been Milwaukee. Like he expected that a good or great shot-making night was coming just because of how bad the Pacers' percentages were. And that was half their season ago, and it still hasn't happened, right? They still have not had that game, and their percentages continue to just look completely dreadful. And they have, Andrew Nembhard can make shots, and Siakam can, and Aaron Nesmith is scoring a bunch but is missing a lot. His percentages are down. Like guys that have made shots before, even with Halliburton out, are not. And the guys who aren't, or whose context is not as important, right? They're not making shots either. And they can't win that way. Like you look at the end of a game and I'm like, man, they just lost by 15 again. And I didn't really see why the game got away from them. And then I look, I'm like, oh, they shot 36%. Of course they lost. Like I think they already have more games this year shooting below 38% than all of last season, which was 82 games. Like they just can't make anything, even players that did make shots last year with Halliburton out or with other guys out. And so some of their season has just been that. But at some point when it's this contagious, you wonder how much of a mental blockade it is for everybody, not even just the guys in a slump, like even guys who are shooting normal percentages. Like you have to trust your teammates to make shots. Like, are you actively not passing to somebody because you don't trust them anymore? Are they not shooting shots that they normally would because they feel like they're in a slump? And then if that grows out to everybody, it just kind of gooks up everything. And I don't know how you get rid of that. Like maybe you just have a game where shots go in, but they can't make anything. And it was fine when their defense was okay, and now their defense stinks too. So it's just been a mess.
As James said, Locked On Pacers, where you can find Tony East's work. James with him on the Overnight Podcast. You can check that out, hopefully at 10:01. Coming up later today. Tony East, your favorite Kesha song?
Oh, good question. TikTok's the really popular one that got played on my come-in, right?
Yes, yes. We Are Who We Are, Mark Dykton could be a good one.
We Are Who We Are is really good as well.
Yeah, right.
Did you know she actually took the $ out of her name?
Whoa.
This is blasphemy.
Mm-hmm. Is that real?
So one, I think it happened like a long time ago, but two, I found out because somebody tweeted a joke that was like, Kesha took the $ out of her name. That's a recession indicator. And that made me laugh. And I looked it up. And lo and behold, it was true. She did. So
I know she's had a lot going on here with like the person who like controlled her music. We could probably go for about 5 hours, honestly, on Kesha here. Yeah, boy, great sign. Shows you how big of a fan I am. Gosh, now I'm deep in the tabloids here.
Her popularity was when we were all much younger.
Sure, certainly. Well, I would argue it still should be today.
Yeah,
Tony East
for
with
Spotify
us here.
page, no $sign on the Spotify page. Unbelievable.
Man. Boy, a great recession joke. There's no surprise that you were laughing at that. Tony East with us here on the Payless Liquors hotline. James brought this up earlier. We could see Benedict Mathurin back tonight, and I thought it was a good point. Like, all off season long, the Pacers have talked about Mathurin in this light of, making quick decisions and sharing the basketball, et cetera, et cetera. Given their state, Tony, they need Game 7 Mathurin. They need ball hog Mathurin, right?
Yes, so badly. Like, we could talk about shooting woes. That dude, it does not matter who's on the floor with him or what the context of the defense is or how bad the team is shooting. That dude can score. That dude can get buckets. He can get to the cup. He can make the offense look a lot better. I mean, even early in this season, look, they got to double overtime against OKC, but I would not say they played particularly well in that game. And he had 30 bajillion points. I can't remember what his final total was. He would have had more if he didn't foul out of that game. And then I was in Memphis when they were terrible and they were down 15 or 20 in the first half, and they cut it all the way to 3 in the third quarter because just Ben Mathurin could score, right? And he had 20 whatever that night before his injury that he has not played since that game. So that was only 2 games, but he looked awesome, right? Like he was dotting threes, drawing fouls, getting to the cup, doing all the stuff that Siakam can do it too, but basically only Ben Mathurin can do some of that stuff on this team at the guard spot. And yeah, on this team, especially this version of this team, Yeah, the fit stuff is going to be important. Like, there'll be a time this season when that becomes the focus for Ben Mathurin. But like, they gotta, I mean, just for vibes, morale, and like, but internal belief, they got to win some games. And that Ben Mathurin, go be Ben Mathurin, man. Like, get to the cup, crack a defense, make them have to rotate more. Like, he can do that, even if if he finishes with 2 assists. Like, that could help everybody else just by drawing a bunch of attention. And he can do that. He did it in Detroit last year when he came back from injury. So I do think that's going to be really important. And it's just someone else the other team's defenders have to, think about, pay attention to, put a key defender on them, right? Like, Detroit is a tough team top to bottom. Like, they have to put a good defender on Ben Mathurin instead of, whoever, Jeremiah Robinson or Jarris Walker. So that's a big shift for what they're able to do, and just putting people in the right seat on the bus in the rotation. And it's good for Mathurin to have more chances to develop, because this season, like, that's the other part that's been so frustrating in the losses, is all the questions we had about guys like Mathurin and, Nembhard playing new roles and other guys developing. Those haven't even happened because they can't. They're all hurt, or they're all playing a role that'll be different than when the Pacers are good again, either later this year or next season, whatever that is. So having Mathurin back, at least if he plays tonight, puts him and Nembhard together, and great, they're both playing a role that they can learn something about the Pacers from, and like their starting five's closer to help. Like, it's all helpful for a million reasons, but is it going to be enough to win? We'll see tonight. We'll see.
The last one from me, Tony, and again, you can check out his work at the new Circle City Spin endeavor that he's imparting on. But Tony, how early is too early to fire up tankathon.com? I've been on there, brother. I've been looking. I've been scouting. I looked at AJ DeBanzo over the weekend for BYU against UConn, and I was thinking, he would not look bad in blue and gold.
Playing on an NBA court too, right? The perfect audition.
There you go.
Yes. I will not do it. I will not stop anybody from doing it. I mean, when you're 1-12, like, be for real. Like, the playoffs are. Don't get me wrong. They turned around their season dramatically last year from 10-15, but like 1-12 is already a very challenging situation to turn around from. So I do not begrudge anybody for doing so. And the top of this draft class looks sensational. Darren Peterson looks awesome. Cam Boozer looks awesome. DeBanson looks awesome. Even some of the guys right behind them look really good. I personally will probably not dive into any college players until the season is over, because then I know every single thing to know about the Pacers and what their needs could be. But I do understand why it's time. I mean, look, they're one of 2 teams with only 1 win. Like, that's the group they're in. It's them and the Wizards are having players-only meetings. So if you want to do it, I do not begrudge anybody at this point of the season. I think, realistically, an answer, though, remember last year they turned their season around at the NBA Cup break? If they still have a terrible record right then, I think many people will be doing what you already did.
About a month from now, by the way, on that. So, again, Benedict Mathurin back. Sounds like the Aaron Nesmith absence will be right around a month or so. So, continue to evaluate what has been just a horrific start for the Pacers health-wise and product-wise. He is Tony East. He fills us in on all of the back news tabloids of Kesha, and he's with us here on the Payless Liquors hotline. Mr. East, thank you, sir.
You got it. Take care, guys.
That's Tony East right there on the Payless Liquors hotline. About a month? You don't want to give him a month, do you, James?
No, I think I'm already there.
You think organizationally they have any sort of date in mind? Because
I thought you meant if they had a date right now, but yeah, I think
because you have to plan for everything.
Yeah,
let's not act like they just ignore it.
Yeah, you got to be realistic. I think again, if you get to,
you think right around mid-December would kind of be the
yes. If you get to mid-December and you're still staring at, I don't know, 3 wins, it's time to start thinking about your long-term future with ping pong balls.
Trade deadline.
I was going to say trade deadline, too. You got to think about that.
February, right, for the NBA? I think that's typically
that
when it
probably
is.
I mean, that to me is so hard because, okay, who are your trade candidates? Benedict Mathurin, Jarris Walker? I'm not trying to move on from Mathurin right now. The guy looks – I don't even know how do you evaluate how his fit with your team?
Right.
You don't have a team.
Even if you want to push the record to the side right now, the fact that you hopefully will get some clarity on Mathurin over the next 2-3 months, I think is an important part of the season. So, again, that is tonight, 7 o'clock. Pacers and Pistons. Our coverage will begin at 6:30. Detroit is on a back-to-back, so we'll see if they rest anybody against the Pacers, as crazy as that sounds. But that's the reality. Indiana, an 8.5-point underdog in this one. Mark Dykton, let's check it out. All right, we've hit a lot of Week 11 news items from around the NFL here. Let's focus on the AFC South for a second. The Texans with Davis Mills, they survive against the Titans. Now, it's a short week for Houston upcoming, so C.J. Stroud's return from concussion, probably not this week, but could it be against the Colts a week from Sunday? And the Jags, I would argue maybe the most impressive team of any in Week 11 as they throttle the L.A. Chargers. So that is Jacksonville at 6-4, Houston at 5-5, the Colts at 8-2. Boys, who strikes more fear into you? If you're the Colts, the 6-4 Jags or the 5-5 Texans, you still play each of them twice.
Healthy CJ Stroud, I'm rolling with the Texans. They've got more talent. They can put it together. They've been there, done that as of late.
Even though they're a game behind Jacksonville?
I will take the Texans.
All right.
I might go Jacksonville just because I feel like with Liam Cohen, he's built a pretty tough team. They haven't had it easy all year, but they have a winning record, and they've got some pretty decent wins throughout the year. I know they knocked off Kansas City earlier this year. So credit to him for really reinvigorating their franchise and making them, I think, a more formidable, tougher team.
Duval.
Long way from that.
Thank you, Coach Cohen. I think you make good debates for either of them. Mark, I can hear you out. Stroud, Nico Collins, and that defense. Mm-hmm. But the one game, I mean, we're 7 weeks to go in the season here. The fact that Jacksonville is a game up on Houston is a critical part. Granted, didn't Houston beat Jacksonville?
Yes.
Didn't they blow it last week?
Yep.
In there, so.
With Davis Mills.
Things to keep an eye on here as we transition to Week 12. All right, college football from over the weekend. Statewide, let's just go south to north here. The best team in the land, that would be Bloomington in the state of Indiana. Indiana is 31-7 winners on senior day there over Wisconsin. Kind of a boring first half. And Indiana actually kind of struggled a little bit there with the Badgers before they absolutely dominated from a score standpoint the rest of the way. Purdue got shellacked up there in the Pacific Northwest, outplayed in every area. 49-13 was the final there against Washington. And Notre Dame, they beat Pittsburgh on the road, jumped on the Panthers very early. Jeremiah Love adding to the highlight reel with the spin move touchdown there in the first quarter. College rankings, you think anything will change significantly for Indiana and Notre Dame coming up tomorrow night?
No, I don't think so. I know people were really pushing for like Texas A&M. Should they be jumping to number 2 or number 1? But they flirted with disaster and remain undefeated, but I don't think anything really changes at the top.
One thing to watch for Notre Dame, do you see Oklahoma jump them after they beat Alabama? That was probably the marquee win of the weekend there. You start to evaluate some 2-loss resumes. I think Notre Dame's eye test tells you Notre Dame's a good football team and deserves a playoff spot. But their resume definitely does not have much substance, especially from a win standpoint. Their best part of their resume are losses. And, I mean, they did beat USC by 2 scores, so that is helping their cause a bit there. Again, we'll get those rankings coming up tomorrow night. College basketball last night in Mackey. It was win number 500 for Matt Painter. That is an Akron team that I think a lot of people view as an NCAA tournament, potentially could win a game in the tournament. Fletcher Lawyer had 16. I thought some really good minutes from Omar Meyer off the bench as Purdue. Again, great balance. Saw Chris Foreman there. A guru, SID guru up there, said first time in at least 20 years, Purdue has had at least 5 players score at least 14 points in a game. So now Purdue shifts gears to the Bahamas. They will play Memphis coming up later this week. They could get Texas Tech, who I believe is a top 10 team, if they advance. Just a 4-team tournament there at Baha Mar. And Indiana last night, they survived Incarnate Ward 69-61. IU shot at 5 of 24 from 3. No idea if the Fighting Words are any good this season. They had lost to Colorado State by 32. Fittingly, they had beaten a couple Christian schools on there. Maddie Bowen all of a sudden looks at the TV last night as I switched over to that after Chiefs Broncos, and she goes, I've never heard of this team. Had you guys heard of Incarnate Ward before last night?
I did because of my high school coverage back in the day. Had a couple kids commit there.
I had only because I feel like you would see that name pop up on the schedule, and it's like that in the Citadel. Where what are these teams? Who are they playing? And so I'm like, oh, okay. And then, like I said, I drove past it one time when we were on a vacation in San Antonio.
What's their nickname?
I don't remember.
I think it's something to do with a bird, right? Is that? I have no idea.
Yeah, they look like they're a cardinal. Yeah, cardinals.
Yeah, really? Okay. Incarnate Ward Cardinals. Well, I guess there is a religious tie if you want to continue down that path there. For IU. Yeah, that's their fight song. Mark was just humming there. Lindenwood. Shout out D.D. Dorsey, Colts running back. Lindenwood for Indiana here. Boy, you want to talk about a murderer's row this week. Incarnate Ward and Lindenwood here for Darren DeVries and company. Shout out to the Monon Bell. Staying in Greencastle. I guess you moved it from Crawfordsville to Greencastle. 41-20. The Tigers all over the Little Giants in that one. DePaul punches their ticket to the D3 playoffs.
Shout out to the Ballantyne brothers, Scotty and Robbie, ballin'.
Week from Saturday, I believe, for that one for DePaul. And yes, the region has served DePaul quite well with the Ballantyne brothers there. As DePaul wins their 4th straight Monon Bell, I believe the longest streak for them since right around the late 90s, early 2000s. And our Miles McLaughlin update, boys. James Boyd on Friday, and Mark played the audio earlier, said that Miles McLaughlin, you set the over-under at 372.5 rushing yards for this kid. And in the regional round, the quarterback for Knox had 53 carries for 372 yards.
I know ball.
I don't know if I'm more impressed that James Boyd got that right or the fact that this kid had 53 carries in a game.
Well, mine is pure luck. His is, I don't know what is going on. Is he a cyborg?
Mark, can you find the box score? How many other can you break down how many other carries they had? Did they throw it? Do they throw it?
I think they've only thrown it like 20 times all year. I'm not exaggerating.
Dude, I'm so fascinated by them. I want them to beat Lures so bad just so I can watch them in the state finals.
Yeah. And they're being coached by a legend right now, Russ Radke. He's known for doing this.
Russ Radke is an absolute legend.
I want to say this could be his 4th different school that he's taken to state if they get there.
A hell of an accomplishment.
Yeah, which is crazy.
364 yards away from Derrick Henry's mark. This is Miles McLaughlin up at Knox. Again, they will have Lures in the semi-state as they won 28-21. I guess kind of a close game against Angola in the regional round. Much more to get to coming up on the other side. This is the Fan Morning Show. Kevin Bowe and James Boyd and Mark Dykton. I need We Are Who We Are next, Mark.
Don't worry.
This is good, but if you want bangers, Z's, and whatever you were doing after the Bears game yesterday to celebrate, then you need We Are Who We Are. So have we dug into this Miles McLaughlin from Knox box score here?
As long as Max Preps is accurate, I would hope my free login is accurate.
All right.
They ran it one other time.
So this man had 53 carries Friday night in their regional win over Angola.
Yes.
And they had one other carry in the game?
That's what it says.
That's what I have as well.
Did he throw it? Because he's their quarterback too, right?
Yes.
He threw it 3 times. He completed 0 passes. Yet he still had a quarterback rating of 39.6. So figure that out.
Unbelievable.
I'm looking at his career. It is absurd to look at the volume in which this kid has carried the ball. He has currently over 1,100 carries in his career in high school. 462 carries this year alone. But he's also scored 71 touchdowns this year on the ground.
Greg chimed in here because we were asking what his recovery is after these games.
Yes, I'm very curious about this.
He goes, his recovery is probably a double cheeseburger and milkshake from Steak and Shake.
Yeah, it's great to be, 17?
I can get behind that.
Do they have some Steak and Shakes up there in Knox? They've got Lures coming up this weekend. Lures definitely has played a schedule that I would say has had probably some more notable opponents, frankly, at least a little more depth and potentially more talent. So we'll see if Knox can make it to the state finals. Cascade, locally here, 3A, will head down. I think they got Gibson Southern as quarterback.
I think Cascade might be willing to play spoiler there in the state championship if they get there.
It sounded like they had a pretty entertaining regional round game. We'll hear from Shane Steichen in a few hours, James Boyd. Colts back to work today. It's the rare kind of Monday where you want to do some physical activity back from the bye week. Wednesday, they'll start up their practice routine. Again, typical Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, as they will take on the Chiefs at Arrowhead, 1 o'clock on Sunday, 3.5-point underdog. Been a while since the Colts have been in that underdog role here, and that will be the case coming up against Kansas City. Any general Shane Steichen thoughts, or is it mostly the logistics on where things are at health-wise for the eligible guys to return from IR? That would be Chavarius Ward, and I guess that would be Anthony Richardson, too, as wild as that sounds.
Yes, that is kind of wild. He has been really kind of an afterthought considering everything else has transpired this season. No disrespect to Anthony Richardson, but just how things have gone. I would say beyond injuries, I want to know what Shane was able to glean from the tape to let him know why they were giving up so many sacks over the last 2 games before the bye and some of the issues up front that led to, I think, or at least contributed to Daniel Jones looking a little bit shakier than the Daniel Jones we saw through the first 8 games of the year. Now, again, I didn't expect him to just be perfect, which he darn near was for 2 months for the entire season, but was there anything there that he saw throughout their self-scout they can clean up to obviously play a higher brand of football? Because, again, the issue is never moving the ball with the Colts. They do that at a very high rate, probably the best in the league at it, but whenever they've had issues offensively, it's turnover-based and it's pressure-based. So can you clean that up to get back to, I think, being at an offense that's at an A level versus, I think, the last couple of weeks maybe being at a B level?
Perhaps a worthless question. Perhaps not.
I was going to say, don't say that around Rick Carlisle. Appreciate the question.
Yeah. If Anthony Richardson is healthy, he's still your backup, right?
That is a question worth asking. I think that's a very good question to ask. I'm dead serious.
And I guess the reasoning why he wouldn't be your backup would be why?
I can't say I appreciate the question, but I acknowledge the question.
Do you think that there's anything that Riley Leonard has done or gleaned from being QB2 over the last month or so that allows you to make that decision and feel comfortable keeping him in that spot?
We played some of that Chris Ballard audio from earlier. He was on with Mike Tice, and it was in relation to the Sauce Gardner trade. Within that interview, James, he did speak on Anthony Richardson, and again, these are Ballard's words, but he was very complimentary of Anthony and where he was at pre-injury. So again, that could just be, hey, it's a GM that is trying to prop up a player that's dealt with a ton of injuries. Fine, but I guess I'll just note that. Yeah, I would assume he would be the backup, but I guess thank you for not reacting to my potential question like Rick Carlisle. Should I take that Rick Carlisle answer as a compliment or no?
It was Halloween related, was it not? I was asking about Halloween.
I think I was asking maybe a favorite costume he had growing up.
It was time. You get this time of year, you're going to get the holiday questions. Every coach is going to get them.
He appreciated it but doesn't want to acknowledge it, or was it vice versa? I think he acknowledged it, but he didn't appreciate it.
I can't say I appreciate the question, but I acknowledge the question.
Could not appreciate it. Okay. Noted. Boy, I'll grind over some more prep work for tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock here after hearing that again. So, yes, Richardson is eligible. Remember, they both got hurt in warm-ups, in case anybody needed to remember that. Arizona game. So they're both eligible to come off the bye week. And one thing to clarify, James, you've been all over this. DeForest Buckner has got to miss 4 games, right? Not 4 weeks.
Yes,
the bye week does not
4
count.
games. The bye week does not count. I found this out a couple years ago when I was trying to do the math on Tua Tagovailoa missing some time due to a concussion. And I believe they might have had a game against the Colts mixed in there. And we had to get it verified by the league that it is 4 games, not 4 weeks. So the earliest that DeForest Buckner could be back in a Colts uniform playing football is Week 15 at the Seattle Seahawks.
And that is noted because that includes Houston and Jacksonville.
Yes.
So, again, the Falcons was his first game miss, Kansas City coming up on Sunday. And then after this week, just to kind of go over the schedule a little bit here, you will host Houston. It's your lone home game in about a 2-month span. And then you'll go to Jacksonville. Well, we don't need to remind everybody about the Colts' issues there in Jacksonville. So that's kind of the unique thing about this AFC South setup right now is, yes, the Colts are at 8-2, Jacksonville's at 6-4, Houston's at 5-5, but you have got to handle your in-division business. If you don't handle your in-division business, you very well could have another year of not winning the AFC South. Now, again, Jacksonville and Houston have got a lot to make up, but, weirdly, and I don't have this off the top of my head, but I want to say Jacksonville has Arizona and Tennessee the next 2 weeks. If Jacksonville beat Arizona, beat Tennessee, which I don't think would be that crazy of a thought, and then they beat the Colts at home, they would be maybe leading the AFC South if the Colts lose to Kansas City. And they'd have the early 1-game lead in the head-to-head tiebreaker. So I don't believe in Jacksonville, frankly, to win 3 in a row, to be clear, but that is possible with how things are at and how the schedule's been heavily backloaded, especially from an AFC South standpoint. All right, we'll do it one final time here. This is the Fan Morning Show on a Monday. Let's go. Come on.
Got the toes tapping over
Toes
there.
are tapping.
Fist pumping.
That's my bad toe. That's my bad right toe. But when you pump Kesha into it, all of a sudden there's cartilage back in there.
Nothing says I am old than saying my bad right toe. Oh, Benedict Matherin's toe is feeling better.
Got a plate in that shoe. I got the Hokas on, but when Mark Dykton puts on a little "We Are Who We Are," I feel like I'm Usain Bolt.
Kevin's going to put that Smedium on later when he gets home.
Hey,
Maddie, check this out.
Put that Smedium on, and there might be a trip to the old Singer Sewer to get that thing back together after that. I love Kesha, and thank you, Mark Dykton, for playing so much Kesha here.
You're
on this
welcome.
Monday. Look at the things we discovered.
I know.
On this Monday. Tomorrow, Rick Carlisle should be 8 o'clock. We'll see about late travel back from Detroit. They've got a home game Wednesday. The Pacers, they'll be getting back late. And Dane Brugler, is that right? A little draft talk?
Correct. A little 8:30 action.
We tend to
Dane
do
Brugler.
this every year, Mark. We get a draft analyst on at some point during the bye week, either last week or early this week. And James, honestly, I feel like the questions are not necessarily Colts related, but more Fernando Mendoza and maybe Jeremiah Love related, right?
Absolutely. You were saying that Jeremiah Love is getting a lot of love.
I thought Mel Kiper had him 2 overall on his big board.
Have we reached that point of the season?
Well, for
It's
some
NFL draft, big board.
For some franchises, we have. Definitely not this one. Hell, we won't talk a whole well, I guess we will inevitably talk draft, but wouldn't you guys say Mendoza has kind of separated from a quarterback class that has not lived up to the hype? Is that probably fair to say?
Yeah, so looking at Mel Kiper's list, he has Dante Moore actually number 1.
Really?
Fernando Mendoza number 2. And then number 3 is Jeremiah Love.
Man, Dante Moore over
Yeah, I don't
Mr.
know about
Mendoza.
that one. Am I biased just because I live in Indiana? But
Mendoza got the last laugh.
You look at a guy like Jeremiah Love, he's got acceleration, he's got speed, he's got elusiveness, he really breaks down the tackles of the opponent.
Doesn't Mel Kiper Jr. eat like a piece of like pumpkin pie every day or something like that?
Pumpkin pie, so good.
Heard
Put some whipped cream on pumpkin pie. Nothing better.
You sound just like him.
And it was Saban, the one that had the same thing every day for lunch.
Yeah.
Because he didn't want to waste time thinking about.
I think he was like an Uncrustables guy or something like that.
Boy, sounds like Max Bowen. I didn't realize there's so many flavors of Uncrustables.
That's how I feel about Pop-Tarts.
It's kind of overwhelming. I'm like, just give me the purple kind. Give me the grape
classics. The purple kind.
And we go to the store. It's like, oh, there's a Nutella one. There's one with honey. I'm like, what? Just give me peanut butter and jelly.
I feel like KB would kind of mess me up on Family Feud because I was watching one time and they were going through, okay, name the most popular Kool-Aid flavor.
Oh.
And someone said red. And they were like, that's not a flavor, that's a color. You get 0 points for that. So when you say the purple one, I'm like, oh, boy.
Yeah,
we
I would
lose the money
on that. I know, I would too. Like, I love Blue Powerade. I think I've told you guys this before, but I don't know what it's technically called.
We established this with the Mondos.
Blast, is it?
Oh,
you know.
Is that back when you were texting his wife?
Yeah.
His pregnant
I
wife?
like Mondos. Well, they haven't existed in 6
You didn't even know
years.
she was pregnant at the time.
Nope.
Shout out to listener Todd Grace. He emailed or he texted us in the text line. Todd Grace, one of my teachers at Clay Junior High. This man had an unbelievable jump shot. Oh, man, I remember he just could get buckets. Shout out to Todd Grace. The Bowen family loved Todd Grace. Great dude.
Can I give a shout out?
Yeah. What do you got?
I want to give a shout out to, I hope I'm getting this correct. Let me look it up. I had a listener's daughter reach out because she was working on a story about the Colts. So shout out to Naomi Long, a student at Fishers Junior High.
Let's go.
Writing for the magazine, the school paper and writing sense. And so she was peppering me with a couple of questions through a Word document. They're actually very good questions. 9 questions about the team that I had to answer. And I tried to answer thoroughly and give her some help on her article.
Nice.
So
Naomi Long, you said?
Naomi Long reached
Awesome.
out to me and Bob Kravitz.
I love it. Well, she got education from one of the two. I can certainly stay on that.
The legend that is Bob Kravitz, whose AirPods never work when I'm around him.
Fisher's legend as well, Bob Kravitz. You know, one thing you brought up earlier about Matherin in tonight, and again, Pacers Pistons tonight, 7 o'clock in Detroit. Benedict Matherin listed as questionable, so potentially could get back for the first time since night 2. I think one thing that could be optimistic, and I stress could, you're asking all these guys to take on grander roles.
Yeah.
You know, that's life of the 2025-2026 Pacers. Asking Benedict Matherin to take on a bigger role, given the makeup, you've got a better chance hitting that than you do Aaron Nesmith. Like, asking Aaron Nesmith to become a number 2 scorer was unfair. And I get, like, the Pacers have no choice. They have to do that. But, like, that's not Nesmith. If you ask Benedict Mathurin, hey, Ben, come here. We need you to score more. We need you to take more shots. We need you to attack more. I mean, that's like telling Tiger Woods he's got 3 brothels across the street.
Didn't see that one coming.
that was so
That was a left curve if I ever saw.
Oh, man.
Did it hit?
It hit.
Okay.
But, boy.
That was the goal. I was trying to make it hit.
I know you were.
Which,
boy.
Eldrick has definitely tried to make some things hit many times in his day. So, I do think that is a... that is reason for maybe a little bit of...
I'm so sorry. But, man, I'm not going to lie. Every time there's an incident involving an athlete and there's a little, like, skepticism, I want to say this a couple weeks ago with Trayvon Diggs. Concussion at your home? Randomly? I'm like, did she get the old frying pan and hit you while you were asleep? Who's this woman in your phone?
Mm-hmm. Shout out Charlie Woods, 4th in the Florida Golf State Finals I saw this weekend. Tiger and Elin walking the fairways together. So, in all seriousness, nice to see a cordial relationship there.
Oh, way to bring it back, Kevin Bone.
As they watch their son. But, that aspect to Mathurin, and I say this in all seriousness, like, you telling Ben, hey, go from 18 to 26. That's much more doable than asking Aaron Nesmith to go from 10 to 18.
Yeah, I feel like Mathurin would be like nodding his head. They tell him this and being in his, basically under his breath going, I could have did this last year.
Exactly. Yeah.
He's that irrationally confident.
Right.
The man caught out LeBron James before he even played in the NBA.
Exactly.
And to his credit, he's become a darn good NBA player and a darn good NBA scorer. So, and you need points at this point. So, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if his first game back, we're talking about like easing him back in, and he gets up like 8 shots in the first 10 minutes.
And by the way, I stand by what I said on Friday. I would have rather have had a Notre Dame basketball win yesterday than Notre Dame football on Saturday.
Oh,
that was heartbreaking.
Sicko!
Up 1 with the ball. We had multiple possessions. That I feel like if you get that bucket to get it to 3, get it to 4, the game's over. And we couldn't do it. And then Ohio State hit some BS layup, and Marcus Burton should have attacked and settled. And that's a tough loss for a resume that an opportunity was there for a Big Ten road win. Squander.
You got to go bag some more leaves afterwards. You're so upset.
Hopefully Rick Carlisle at 8 tomorrow. Hopefully Dane Brugler at 8:30 draft analyst, and hopefully Jeff Rickard back with us. Mark Dykton, thank you as always. James Boyd, Kevin Bowen, we're signing off. Fan Morning Show.